pure power. A dominating force man strives for. In 1988, the P in power stands for Penske Racing. Roger has painted the perfect picture this season with the Chevy Indy engine, formerly called the Chevy Illmore, and a new chassis, the PC-17. Their power took control at Indianapolis by winning the 500-mile race after setting a new mark in qualifying. After Indianapolis, Mears, Sullivan, and Penske moved to Milwaukee, where the checkers would fall on a Mears-Sullivan 1-2 Penske finish. Now in the Pacific Northwest, at a track in the shadows of nature's purest power, Mount St. Helens, Penske brings his team to Portland International Raceway for the second road course race of 1988, hoping that their impressive record will continue. Rick Mears goes for his third straight win this year. And Danny Sullivan goes for his first from the pole with yet another new track record. The Budweiser G.I. Joe's 200 from the City of Roses is next. ESPN, the world's leader in motorsports coverage, presents Speed World. Today from Portland International Raceway, the Budweiser G.I. Joe's 200 being brought to you by Quaker State Motor Oil. The big Q stands for quality, always has, always will. By Budweiser, Beechwood Age for that clean, crisp taste. This Bud's for you. By the heartbeat of America, today's Chevrolet. And by Gates, a trusted name in automotive products for over 75 years. 78 degrees on a beautiful day in Portland, Oregon, as we welcome you to the Budweiser G.I. Joe's 200. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Bob Jenkins. This is the second road race of 1988 here on the PPG Indycar World Series circuit. With me in the booth today is the guy who finished 7th here last year, Johnny Rutherford. And we have seen so far this year in IndyCar racing a dominance of the Penske organization, and especially of that Chevy engine.
Oh, it's incredible. The Chevrolet has finally come of age, I think, Bob, and the Penske operation has a dynasty brewing. There's no doubt about it. The cars are very, very fast. Danny Sullivan on the pole today, Rick Mears in third spot. The Chevrolet is here, and the PC-17 carries it quite nicely.
So what do you do to stop this Chevrolet engine? Is there anything you can do?
I think probably it's going to take another dynasty to equal that, and who knows what can happen, but you're going to have to come up with a better team and a better combination of the package.
Well, let's go to one of our two pit reporters for the afternoon. Here is Gary Lee.
Thank you, Bob. Johnny, good afternoon and happy Father's Day. Now, usually when we talk about Roberto Guerrero, we're way up there at the head of the grid. But today, after starting on the pole here last year, Roberto starts 23rd. It's been a frustrating weekend. The Vince Granatelli racing team has been relegated to the backup car. It's an 87 March as they're repairing the cars destroyed in crashes at Indianapolis and Milwaukee. And according to Chief Larry Curry, they simply can't put their finger on it. Is it the chassis? Is it the engine? They're down on horsepower, they're down on speed, and it's very frustrating, a very unusual starting position for Roberto Guerrero. Covering the pit area today is our colleague just back from Le Mans, France. He is fighting laryngitis. He'll go as long as he can, as long as the voice holds out. Here's Larry Nuber.
Okay, Gary, thank you very much. I'm standing by the pre-race mountaintop of IndyCar racing this weekend here in Portland, the front row. There is a predictable gentleman here in the front row, Danny Sullivan, utilizing that Penske power that Bob Jenkins talked about. And then this guy, it's somewhat of a surprise, Arie Luyendyk. Although, if you have been following IndyCar racing the past couple seasons, you're not shocked to see Arie up here. He's been very close, and this weekend, most agree, is his best shot for his first win ever. Also, there have been 4 previous IndyCar races here at Portland. And as legend has it, each one of them has been won by a Lola Cosworth utilizing a single-digit odd number. Well, Arie Luyendyk is in a Lola Cosworth, and the number is 7.
So the Dutch driver is certainly one of the favorites as we get set for the Budweiser G.I. Joe's 200 here at Portland International Raceway. And here now is the starting lineup. On the pole will be Danny Sullivan in the car number 9 Miller High Life Penske PC-17, setting a new track record at 118.687 miles an hour. Alongside in that front row will be Arie Luyendyk driving the Provimi Veal Lola. It is a Cosworth power, and the number is 7. In row number 2, it'll be Rick Mears in the other Penske PC-17, the Pennzoil Z7, car number 5, Rick from Bakersfield. Outside will be for the 4th time this year in the Team Valvoline number 3. Then Mario Andretti, a 2-time winner here in the Amoco Kmart Lola, car number 6. Outside of him from Dublin, Ohio, will be Bobby Rahal, the defending champion of this race in the Budweiser True Sports Lola, car number 1. Starting in the 4th row will be Emerson Fittipaldi. He won his first pole here in 1986. He's driving the Marlboro March, car number 20. And then Michael Andretti, who lost to his father here in 1986 on Father's Day. He'll drive the Quaco March, car number 18. In row number 5, it'll be Teo Fabi in the Quaker State Porsche, car number 8. Outside will be the number 10 Rainer Garage Door Lola, driven by Derek Daly. In the 6th row will be John Andretti in car number 98 and Ludwig Heimrath Jr. in number 71. In the 7th row, it'll be Didier Tays in car 22 and Kevin Kogan in number 11. The 8th row has John Jones in car number 12 and Raul Boisel in car number 30. On the 9th row, the 91 car of Scott Brayton and 23, Terrell Palmroth. In the 10th row, car number 21, Howdy Holmes, and number 16, Dominic Dobson. In the 11th row, it'll be Randy Lewis in car number 24 and Scott Atchison in 55. The 12th row, Roberto Guerrero in car number 2 and A.J. Foyt in car number 14. And in the final row, the 2 promoters' options, Rocky Moran in car number 56 and Dale Coyne in car number 19. So we'll be back with the command to start engines as we get set for IndyCar racing from Portland, Oregon.
The big Q stands for quality. In Quaker State's 11,000 RPM Porsche, in Ricky Rudd's high-torque Buick, clean-running Quaker State with QSX gives them unbeatable protection from wear and tear.
And it's the same Quaker State you buy right off the shelf.
Quaker State. The big Q stands for quality. Always has, always will. Want to make your pulse race? Come see the Quaker State Porsche race in the Quaker State 500 at Pocono Raceway, Sunday, August 21st. Call 1-800-RACEWAY.
And from the City of Roses, Portland, Oregon, with the order we've been waiting for, Mayor Bud Clark.
Gentlemen, start your engines!
All right, back up to Lou Palmer.
So listen to them fire. The engines for the first time now turned on, not to be turned on to the
26 cars roar to life. The drivers sit waiting for the pace laps and then the start of this race. The balloons are released from the area behind the pit area. And there is a record crowd on hand here this afternoon. 51,000 are inside Portland International Raceway. The drivers going for a lot of money in this event. The total purse is $600,000 and the winner's share will be about $68,160. Now the points battle in kart PPG IndyCar competition. Rick Mears leads Raul Boisel by 8 points. Michael Andretti is third in the PPG point standings. Bobby Rahal fourth, and then Emerson Fittipaldi. Somewhat of a surprise, A.J. Foyt is listed in sixth position in the point standings, as he is now competing in every event on the PPG IndyCar World Series. First-time starters here at Portland, there are 7 of them. Scott Atchison, Terrell Palmroth, John Andretti, Rocky Moran, Didier Tays, John Jones, and A.J. Foyt, who has never competed here at Portland. The track itself located on the northern edge of the city of Portland. Here's a closer look at Portland International Raceway. It is 1.922 miles in length. The front stretch 2,700 feet. Drivers will be shifting gears about 15 times every lap. The race length is 104 circuits, and they'll be making 30 to 35 laps before having to come in for a fuel stop. Here is an aerial view of the racetrack. And as we said, this long front straightaway is 2,700 feet in length, and Johnny Rutherford, it's actually a drag strip.
Yes, we can see a car going down the drag strip portion of the course, which is a long straightaway, and they put in a chicane at the end to try to slow the cars down to hold the speeds. Here we have a shot from Al Unser Jr.'s car as he's going down the long straightaway heading toward that chicane. So we'll get a driver's eye view of what it looks like. Down into the chicane, downshifting, slowing the car, very violent through there because the car is going from side to side heading toward turn 1.
And they go through a series of corners here, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5.
Yes, into turn 1 there. As you can see, there's a lot of grass area, so there's plenty of runoff. Here, Al Unser heads for turn number 3. It's a tight course around this corner. You have to be careful because it's a decreasing radius. You head down toward turn 5, around turn 5. A lot of cars get off in this area because it's a little slower than it looks like you can go. Here he's through 5A and out onto the long back straightaway.
It's actually not a straightaway, but a long sweeping corner, and the speeds here will achieve 170 miles an hour before the driver backs off for turn number 7.
And yes, turn 7 is very quick. It's at the end of this straight. You go from one curve to the other very violently and very quick. Heading for turn 9, selecting the right gear, down to the inside of the curve, across to the outside, and out onto the front straightaway, shifting gears, and you've made a lap.
So there's a lap around Portland International Raceway as the field comes down the straightaway here to complete the first of their pace laps. The drivers making sure the cars are heated up and the tires are ready to go. We have been given some information about a stream of water that has come up through the asphalt between turns 6 and 7. Now, right now, the kart officials don't think that will be a problem, but they're going to keep a very close eye on it. Unless there's a lot of water, Johnny, I wouldn't guess that that would be a big problem.
No, it would have to be a pretty good stream across the racetrack for it to be any problem. About, like I said, all it would do is maybe spec up your shield if you're running behind somebody when they ran through it, but it would burn off the tires very quickly.
Teo Fabi begins this race in 9th position. The Porsche team has equaled their best start of 1988, and you would certainly think that this could be one of Teo Fabi's best chances to, if not win this race, certainly turn in a good performance.
Yes, this team is learning. You know, they're brand new. They've not been in IndyCar racing. And of course, Porsche, this is their first endeavor. So I think they're to be commended in the showing they've done here to this point, because the car has performed well yesterday in their final practice with full loads of fuel. They were running, I think, 3rd quick. So it's very good for them.
Derek Daly will start alongside in position number 10 outside of that 5th row. Derek is one of those just back from the race in Le Mans last weekend. Did very well in the team that he was driving for, but today it's the Raynor Garage Door Lola, and the number is 10. Now, here is our in-car camera, which will be carried by Al Unser Jr. As you can see him scrubbing in the tires as they go down the backstretch.
It's interesting to note the tear-off shield he has flapping off the side of his helmet there. People say, wonder what that is. Well, that's a little thin shield that has posts on each side of your visor on the helmet, and you can stack those up, and as they get dirty with oil from the other cars or sand pecks them up, you can reach up and grab one and pull it off, and you have a clean visor again.
Normally think that being used almost exclusively on the dirt tracks, but indeed the IndyCar drivers do also use it here at Portland. And we'll be right back for the start of this 200-mile race at Portland right after this.
No matter what the age, golfers can find the best selection of golf equipment at the lowest prices from Golf USA. Select from fashion wear, instructional videos, gift items, bags, clubs, and shoes. Golf USA carries current shoe styles in almost all sizes. At Golf USA, you're assured of honest, dependable service. Golf USA, Holcomb Bridge at Nesbitt Ferry, 4 miles east of Georgia 400 in Rivermont Square.
Save hundreds of dollars during the Red Tag Sale at Thornton Chevrolet. For 4 days, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Monday, prices on hundreds of new and used cars and trucks at Thornton Chevrolet have been drastically reduced. Discounts up to $3,000. Plus, you can get up to $1,000 cash back from the factory. No haggling, please. At Thornton Chevrolet's Red Tag Sale, haggling isn't necessary. Look for the red tags and save like never before. The Red Tag Sale, through Monday only, and only at Thornton Chevrolet.
ESPN Speed World today at Portland International Raceway. I'm Bob Jenkins, along with Johnny Rutherford in the booth, covering the pit area for us, Gary Lee and Larry Nuber. Well, it would seem that perhaps Arie Luyendyk has the task this afternoon of being the giant killer. Danny Sullivan is alongside in that front row, and starting in 3rd position is Rick Mears, the 2 Penske drivers. And here's Arie Luyendyk, who has taken this Dick Simon car to the 2nd fastest qualifying. He has got a job ahead of him, but I think he's kind of looking forward to this.
Well, he really does. And, of course, Danny Sullivan wants to lead right off the bat, and I think so does Arie Luyendyk, because it's a new role for him sitting in the front row. And they're only 25 thousandths of a second apart in speed, so it will be interesting to see who gets to the chicane first when the green flag drops. Then you've got Rick Mears back there, who is He's used to victory lane, and he's used to going to the front very quickly. Of course, Al Unser Jr. is due. He's been hammering away at it. So there's 4 guys right there that are going to be going for that #1 spot in the first lap, and it ought to be interesting.
And of course, Al Unser Jr. has won the only road course race so far this year, that in the streets of Long Beach, California. The field comes out of corner number 9, and they begin to pick up speed, looking for the green flag. It is out. The Budweiser G.I. Joe's 200 is underway. Watch him go into the chicane now.
That is one of the most critical parts of the racetrack right there, because you're still bunched up. Now you're getting strung out, and Danny Sullivan has charged to the front.
Looked like one of the cars got a little wide there going through the chicane. I believe was John Andretti. However, everybody got through the chicane okay, and all cars are running as they pass through corner number 4 now. A very short straightaway up to corner number 5. They'll come through it and then go flat out down the backstretch. Al Unser Jr. is running in 3rd position. Rick Mears is 4th, and here we are in Little Al's car.
There you can see Little Al has some cooling tubes blowing into the cockpit to try to get him some fresh air.
Look how quickly they go through corner number 9 now. They come out of it and onto the front stretch. Danny Sullivan leads. Luyendyk second. Al Unser Jr. third. There comes Rick Mears and Mario Andretti, followed by his son Michael, as they come down the straightaway for the first time.
The tires are just now starting to feel like you can trust them. Through this next set of turns, through the chicane, and down through 1, 2, 3, and 4, you're going to see the cars getting a little quicker, and things will start changing.
Danny Sullivan has about a 4 or 5 car length advantage on Arie Luyendyk, but is not pulling away from Arie by any means. As a matter of fact, looks like Luyendyk can perhaps close in on him as they go through the corners, but perhaps that Chevy Illmore engine has just a little bit more horsepower as they go down the straightaway. But Luyendyk is in hot pursuit of Danny Sullivan.
There again, you can see that the tires, getting the tires heated up is the key. You know, it's you've got to have those things working, and when you get comfortable with them, then you can start moving. I think that's what Luyendyk is doing. He's getting confidence in the tires.
Way back in the pack is A.J. Foyt, and we saw briefly there Raul Boycell cars, I believe, his car faltering for just a moment, and yes, there it is. Raul Boycell is going to stall here on the race course. And that may bring out a yellow because he is unable to get that race car off the track.
Yes, that's unfortunate. Raul in the first lap experiencing some sort of problem. It's hard to tell at this point. There's no smoke or no problem. He might have had gearbox troubles or may have had just ignition, something go out that caused the thing to just quit on him.
And we saw A.J. Foyt there briefly before we told you about Raul Boycell, and we have indication that A.J. Foyt may have a broken header on that car. We'll continue to watch it. Single file formation, though, up through the turn number 5 onto the backstretch once again. We're watching Arie Luyendyk, who is running in 2nd position to Danny Sullivan. And there you can see the advantage that Sullivan has on Luyendyk as they once again move through the east end of this racetrack.
Sullivan is opening up just a little bit, and it's I think that's the long suit of the Chevrolet with that particular chassis, is that he can get very smooth and very deliberate, and it seems that that's the way it works in all the races we've watched so far, is he can just sit there and pull right away.
Let's go down to the pit area and Gary Lee, who has possibly an explanation on what has happened to Raul Boycell.
Well, you're down here with Dennis Swan, the crew chief for Shearson Domino Pizza Racing. What's the problem on the racetrack?
Well, we have some sort of engine problem. We're not really sure. It just shut off. So if we can get it back to the pits, we'll change some electronic parts and see if we can make it run.
But now it's up to the safety crew to get him back.
Well, they won't actually bring him back. If we can get it started again, then he can drive it back.
So otherwise, the race is over.
Right, unfortunately.
So Raul Boycell may try to get that car started and back in the race, but if not, it's going to be all over. And you can see the tow truck there has arrived in front of the car, and it looks like he's going to have to be pulled back to the pit area. Now we're watching a battle here involving Bobby Rahal, Emerson Fittipaldi, that is Teo Fabi, and John Andretti. This is 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th right here.
Yes, they are all very close together and utilizing the draft down the long straightaway. There's not much of a draft from these cars, but you do get a little. There you can see Emerson pull out and get past Rahal into the chicane, so obviously he utilized what there was to his effect, and he's pulled away.
So Emerson Fittipaldi moves to 7th place now, and Bobby Rahal drops back to 8th. Bobby Rahal this year using the Judd engine. One of the things that they're proudest of as far as the Judd engine is concerned is the fact that it uses less fuel, and he doesn't perhaps maybe have to make as many pit stops, but doesn't have the power that he needs, Johnny.
Well, that's true, and it's not quite as strong as some of the others, but the fuel mileage is a key, especially here. I've heard from several of the crew chiefs and some of the people that fuel mileage may be a problem here. It always has been in the past, but I thought probably with the new electronic systems and things that it might not be a problem, but they tell me that there still is a bit of a problem. So it could be interesting at the end to see who has managed it properly and who hasn't.
Well, of course, it was a fuel problem that eliminated Michael Andretti here 2 years ago, allowing his father to win. You can see the kart safety vehicle on the front stretch now. Look at the Porsche hanging right in there behind Bobby Rahal. So the Porsche certainly showing well here in the first 5 laps of this 104-lap contest. We're seeing a variety of engines here in these 3 cars.
Yes, there's 4 different types there. The Judd, the Porsche, Cosworth, and the Chevrolet. So they are going at it.
Emerson Fittipaldi, of course, in the Chevrolet, leading this foursome through the corners. We go back into the Al Unser Jr. machine, and he is still running in 3rd position, negotiating corner number 9 once again. Al Unser Jr., the Valvoline race cam down the front stretch once again. Here's Larry Nuber.
Well, Bob, as we have seen, Al Unser Jr. is utilizing the race cam this week. In previous IndyCar races, it's been in Danny Sullivan's car. Danny Sullivan's crew tells me that race cam can rob as much as maybe 2/10, maybe 5/100ths of a second from the performance of the car on a road course. It adds only 15 pounds, but those 15 pounds are so critical. Yes, it does slow the car down just a bit. So Sullivan and crew, they were happy in one respect to not have the camera this week, and they're speculating that had they had the camera, they might have lost the pole to R.A. Luyendyk, who's never had an IndyCar pole.
Al Unser Jr. in the Valvoline race cam running in 3rd position. The leader is Danny Sullivan. 2nd is R.A. Luyendyk. Back with our live coverage from Portland in a moment.
A tradition of horsepower. For the 2nd consecutive year, Budweiser racing teams captured 3 national championships. Bobby Rahal in the Bud Indycar. Kenny Bernstein in the Budweiser team. And Jim Cropfeld in Miss Budweiser. It's a tradition of horsepower that keeps Budweiser ahead of the pack. Racing fans,
Jack Rooney just tuned up his car, but he forgot to change something very important, his engine belts.
After 4 years, belts can break anytime. So don't take chances. Next tune-up, get Gates belts. More mechanics install Gates and more people rely on them than any other belt made. Remember, if your car's 4 years old, get Gates before it's too late.
July is a total sports celebration on ESPN. Great golf with the British Open and U.S. Women's Open. Race Day America featuring the Grand Prix of France, plus live IMSA and IndyCar excitement. July serves up a pivotal Davis Cup showdown. Baseball's AAA All-Star Game and Hall of Fame induction ceremonies, indoor football's Arena Bowl 88, and Wednesday night PBA Tour action. All in July on ESPN.
Back at Portland International Raceway, the Budweiser G.I. Joe's 200 is being led by Danny Sullivan, whose last IndyCar win was in 1986 at the Cleveland Grand Prix. Right now, he has about a 1.5-second lead over R.A. Luyendyk. And in 3rd position is Al Unser Jr. And here those 3 move through corner number 3. In 4th position is Rick Mears. Now, he has dropped back considerably from Al Unser Jr. He was right up there on his tail for a while, but now look how far he is behind. About 5 seconds separate the 3rd and 4th place cars of Al Unser Jr. and Rick Mears. And Mario Andretti in the white car, number 6 here, leading his son Michael Andretti through corners number 7 and 8. We have been told that the kart observers are watching for possible spray from that car. And certainly if they determine that there is enough spray coming from it, that it's a hazard to other drivers, he will be called in for a black flag. But as we watch him down the straightaway here, we don't see anything visible as far as our cameras are concerned.
Now, No, it really doesn't. And there you see Emerson closing in on Mario and Michael as well. So Emerson is on the move.
Mario Andretti, the number 6. Kmart Lola in 5th position at this moment. And there's his son right on his heels, Michael Andretti, in that Preco March car number 18. Seems like there's always been a story here concerning fathers and sons on this Father's Day race that has been held 4 times previous here at Portland. Al Unser Jr., the son of a very famous race driver, of course, won the first year, then Mario the last 2 years. Bobby Rahal won last year, and he has just become a father. Now here is Teo Fabi in the Porsche, car number 8, and he is having a good run in that car. He's been situated behind Bobby Rahal for just about all the race. Teo Fabi right now in the Porsche in 9th position, and John Andretti is behind him, and Bobby Rahal has to smoke the tires there. Going into that corner, got a little hard on the brakes as he passed the lapped car of Dale Coyne.
Yeah, he's not hard to tell where the brake bias is on that car. And here comes Teo now pulling out to pass, making a pass on Bobby Rahal into the chicane.
So Teo Fabi moves to 8th. Bobby Rahal drops back to 9th position. Well, the Quaker State Porsche team has really come a long way. You've got to take your hats off to these guys. It was less than a year ago, of course, last year at Laguna Seca, that this car was debuted. And they failed to make the final race of the IndyCar season last year, but they have been moving and making steady progress since then. Let's get down to the pit area once again.
Well, Bob, we talk about the starting grid and qualifying positions. However, a real barometer of what these drivers can do in the race itself is that late Saturday afternoon practice session following qualifications. The 3rd fastest driver in that session yesterday was Teo Fabi. So we might expect some good things from the Porsche-powered March. And right now we have A.J. Foyt here in the pit area.
And, of course, the speculation is that there is a header problem on that car. The crew is going to work. Now, the pit crew is a little bit different than it was in Milwaukee a couple of weeks ago. Johnny Rutherford was a member of A.J.'s pit crew there.
Yes, I was the Gunga Din. I gave A.J. his drink of water and told him I would dump it in his lap and hit him in the head with a stick if he gave me any trouble. But there you can see they've got the engine cover off and obviously looking for some sort of a problem. They've got the engine shut down. They're pulling plug wires. So it could be just about anything.
Well, let's get a further update from the pit area. Gary?
Standing here with Jim Gilmore. Jim, earlier you said you thought it was something with the electrical system, and obviously they're working with the plug wires and the black box.
I would still have to believe, with the way the engine sounded at the beginning of the race, it is an electrical problem. I can't say for sure, but they're working with it right now. That would be my belief.
You started this race in 6th position in the points. Obviously, Lady Luck plays a major role in whatever you do on the racetrack, and this is not good luck this weekend.
Well, I guess we have to look at it that way, but I guess being in racing as long as we have been, there's never a negative as far as I'm concerned.
A.J. looks to be taking it rather well in the cockpit. I have seen some very animated response from him in the past, but he's very cool right now.
Well, I believe he feels in a race like this, there's so many things that could happen in this particular type of road race, that if it happens to us at the beginning, maybe it's better than as the race progresses.
You were talking about Johnny Rutherford being on the crew a couple of weeks ago at Milwaukee. There is another famous racing name on the crew today, the Vet Man, and the Air Jack Man is none other than Billy Vukovich III, who was Rookie of the Year at the Indy 500 just a few weeks ago. He is working today on the crew of A.J. Foyt.
Well, A.J. has a couple of top 10 finishes in the 1988 season so far. He was 5th at Milwaukee, 4th in the opener at Phoenix, and finished 11th at Long Beach. Not a very good day for him at the Indianapolis 500. And there is Billy Vukovich, who is standing by in that A.J. Foyt pit. Billy competed not too far down the road here in a super modified last night. Meanwhile, back out on the racetrack, it is still Danny Sullivan who is leading this race. He now has about a 2.5-second advantage over Arie Luyendyk. There is Arie moving through turn number 3 and 4. Luyendyk in 2nd position. Al Unser Jr. continues to run in 3rd. And Rick Mears is in 4th position, as now the leaders catch up with some of the slower traffic.
It'll be interesting to see if Sullivan is hampered by this traffic at all and held up. Luyendyk could catch up. But if Sullivan can get through the traffic, then Luyendyk will get farther behind because Danny will take off, and he's... Whoa, Danny Sullivan nearly spins it. He does. Turn 9, and he saves it. There's Luyendyk right on his tail, making a pass coming off of 9. Wow, how about that?
Unbelievable. He was trying to move by the slower car of Rocky Moran, and Sullivan lost it, sliding sideways, got into the grass, and that was all that Luyendyk needed to pass. And here comes Al Unser Jr. to move to second.
Boy, now that's a change for you. How about that for quick?
So Al Unser Jr. moves to second, and the leader of this race is Arie Luyendyk. He becomes our second leader of the race. And here is a replay of what happened over there in corner number 9. Johnny?
Well, here we can see him come in very fast behind Rocky Moran, and he tucks to the inside, and there he gets up, gets on the brakes. The car slides. I think he just flat came around, got a little bit sideways. Everything was into the grass, coming back out. It's a wonder he wasn't collected by Luyendyk there. And, of course, little Al is back there running his straight line, and now we're back in the camera car with Al.
Well, don't count Danny Sullivan out, though, because he has spun and won before. His Indianapolis 500 victory, of course, came after he spun between turns 1 and 2. So Danny Sullivan, although he drops back to third position, is by no means out of the contest. Now Arie Luyendyk is himself beginning to lap some of the slower cars out there on the track. Here comes second and third as A.J. Foyt moves back out onto the racetrack. That's Danny Sullivan in the Miller High Life car, who is now back in that third position.
It'd be interesting to know if Danny might have flat spotted a tire there. I wouldn't think so. It didn't look like he had them locked up and smoking or anything like that. So his tires are probably still okay, but nevertheless, he'll have to settle down and get the rhythm back.
The question is, might he have damaged something on the race car when he was running over the curb and the bumps there?
I don't think so. The bottom of these cars are pretty tough. They're out of carbon fiber, and you can slide them up on something. You'd have to hit it very hard, and there's really nothing there in that particular turn, I think, to hit.
So they both pass one of the back markers coming through corner number 9 now. There's Arie Luyendyk, the leader, Al Unser Jr. in second, and Danny Sullivan running in third position. A lot of traffic ahead of the leader. That's Arie Luyendyk moving to the far left to pass a slower car going into the chicane. And the next car that Arie Luyendyk will be coming upon to pass is Roberto Guerrero. And here, once again, our in-car camera. That's Roberto Guerrero right ahead, now situated between the leader, Luyendyk, and second place, Unser.
That was nice of Roberto to move over and let little Al by. He knew that he obviously didn't have the power to hold anybody back and to try to get back in the lead lap by going by Luyendyk. So he moved over out of the way and let them get by clean.
Well, the word is from the Penske pit that everything is okay with that Danny Sullivan car. No damage done when he ran up on the curb and lost the lead to Arie Luyendyk. We'll be right back.
Chevy's winning commitment to quality extends all the way from the finish line to the assembly line, because at Chevrolet, quality is a way of life. And Rick Mears' victory at the 1988 Indy 500 proves it's a winning way of life.
Why does Indy 500 winner Rick Mears race on Goodyear Eagles exclusively? Because of the Goodyear Eagle contact patch and how it responds to the track. And why does Oldsmobile choose Goodyear Eagle street radials for the Indianapolis 500 pace car? A major reason is the Goodyear Eagle contact patch, where the car ultimately responds to the road. Goodyear Eagles, because there really is a difference.
The number 55 car of Scott Atchison, sponsored by Otter Pops, has come into the pit area. The kart observers were observing him for a possible oil leak, and that's what the crew is checking right now. Scott Atchison, one of those competing here for the very first time. Here come those up front, moving through the chicane. That's Al Unser Jr., who is running in second position, with Danny Sullivan behind him in third spot. Al Unser has moved through the slower traffic nicely as he heads for turn number 2. But you can see that Danny Sullivan still has a couple of cars to pass Dominic Dobson there is in the 16 car, and he gets by Ludwig Heimrath Jr., so now only one car between second and third place. As Danny Sullivan tries to get back up front after spinning, or at least partially spinning, in corner number 9. There is Rick Mears in the yellow car, who is running in 4th position, and then 5th and 6th and 7th, for that matter. Mario Andretti in the white number 6, Michael Andretti in the blue and yellow number 18, and behind them the red and white car driven by Emerson Fittipaldi, 5th, 6th, and 7th.
It looks like they're pretty evenly matched, although Emerson did pull up and catch the two. They've kind of stalemated, so it's a matter of waiting until something happens to one or the other, and they have an opportunity to take advantage of a weakness and get by.
Of course, Mario Andretti and Emerson Fittipaldi in the Chevys, and Michael Andretti in the Cosworth. So although the Chevy has won each race that we have had so far this year in PPG IndyCar competition, I don't think it's time to erase and forget about the Cosworth, at least at this point.
No, I don't think so by any means. Cosworth has been an old reliable. It's like the Offenhauser, you know, long live the king, so to speak. It's there. They'll make some changes and get them competitive, and they'll be strong. They still are. You know, there's one between two Chevrolets, and it's hanging right in there.
And of course, the Cosworth is leading this race as we are now 19 circuits into this 104-lap event. Ari Luyendyk is the leader, and Scott Atchison, while we watch the action on the track, is out of his car and will apparently be an early casualty in this 200-miler. Mario, Michael, and Emerson Fittipaldi running right together on the racetrack. Coming up on some slower traffic once again. Looks like those three are definitely catching Rick Mears. Rick is in the white car there and has been dropping back. Not real fast, but at least has been losing a few seconds every lap, although he remains in that 4th position.
You know, it appears that Danny Sullivan has been losing a couple of seconds per lap. While we've been talking here, he seems to drift back, so it's we're watching to see if Sullivan is losing ground and where he might come up to.
Michael trying to make a move on Dad into the corner. Oh, they're side by side through there with a slower car. Rocky Moran ahead, but Michael takes the position away from Mario Andretti. Michael moves to 5th, putting his father back to 6th position. Not a very father and son-like gesture there.
Well, you remember a couple of years ago, he gave the race to, ran out of fuel, and Mario won it by inches, so there's a payback.
And now Michael will try to go around the car of Roberto Guerrero. Let's see if he makes a move here on the straightaway. Now he begins to pull out as they head for the chicane. Let's see if Michael is able to pass Roberto. Indeed, he does. So now Michael Andretti sets his sights on the 4th place car of Rick Mears and will once again watch his progress and see if he is catching Rick Mears. Rick is now about 19 seconds behind the leader, Ari Luyendyk. Now here's a replay of the pass that Michael made on Mario.
Here we see them heading for turn number 5, and Michael really takes advantage. And of course, Mario was held up behind the slower car, but he moved right in. That was a slick move. He just slipped right in there, slid out in front of his father, and took over that position.
So Michael Andretti once again is now in that 5th position, and Mario is back to 6th. We now see Emerson Fittipaldi working the slower traffic. Roberto Guerrero there in the red car. Down the straightaway once again.
There you can see they stay in line, and then Emo pulls out as he gets down to the end to try to get that position. Slips right in between them, moves up behind Roberto. So it's he's on the move. His car's working well.
Now remember, Guerrero is not on the lead lap. He has been lapped already, so he is not a factor. Michael Andretti from Nazareth, Pennsylvania, comes to Portland International Raceway, and we ask him about his fondest memory here at this track.
Leading almost every lap of the 86 race until the very last one. And it was, I don't know if it was a fond memory, really, but in the end, when you look at it, it was really some day. You know, being Father's Day and losing the race in the last lap, it was just, to my father, it was definitely something that I'll never forget.
Well, that was a couple of years ago, and Michael Andretti is now trying to get back to the lead position, but he is about 21 seconds behind the leader, who is Arie Luyendyk, right there in the Provimi field car. Dick Simon is the owner of this car. As a matter of fact, he has entered several for this race. Let's go to the pit area. Gary?
Well, indeed, Dick Simon has 3 cars in the race. And, Dick, you confided in me before the race. You said, I am more nervous now as a car owner watching this race than I would be if I were driving.
Yes, Gary, it's a new experience. You know, we sat on the front row one other time with Raul Boisel, and here we are again, but much stronger this time, and in an honest, real, possible 100% chance to win, and I'm just scared silly.
You know, in the cockpit, you have a chance to do something about the outcome. But as the owner here, standing on a stack of Goodyear tires, there's not a whole lot you can do.
Well, I can stand on the tires and shake, because that's what's happening right now. It's exciting, and my heart's in it with Arie, and I feel like I am driving the car in a way, Gary, because he relates to me so well.
Well, Bob and Johnny, nobody is better for the sponsors than Dick Simon. Before we went on the air, he said, wait a minute. He called to Dick Miller, the PR man, and said, give me your hat. So he had the proper hat on when we go on the air. Thanks, Dick. Have a good ride.
Thank you, Gary. Appreciate it.
And once again, following up on this Father's Day theme, should Arie Luyendyk win this race, they will again continue this tradition because he and his wife just had a new baby.
Yes, they did. In fact, it's Maida, who a little girl, and Mika is doing fine, so we congratulate them.
Here's the battle for second position. Al Unser Jr. leading Danny Sullivan, but Sullivan, it appears, is closing in quickly. Sullivan led the first few laps of this race before losing control in corner number 9, getting the car sideways, got it back on the track, however, and lost the first 2 positions, and he's had difficulty moving up from there. But he's following Al Unser Jr. right now, as they are about 6 seconds behind the leader, Arie Luyendyk.
It's going to be interesting to see if Al Unser Jr. is dropping back or Sullivan is gaining, and I would think it's probably the latter, because Danny is calculatedly moving himself up into position, and down this long straightaway he might make a try at turn 7.
You're watching live coverage of the Budweiser G.I. Joe's 200 from Portland International Raceway. At the moment, the leader is Arie Luyendyk. We'll be right back.
Maguire's, simply brilliant.
Introducing Stanley cordless tools with power that won't quit. Because unlike many other cordless tools, the new Stanley cordless drill and cordless screwdriver are designed with removable, rechargeable battery packs. So the only time they stop working is when you do.
Too many people think a spark plug's a spark plug. Well, all spark plugs aren't alike. These AC copper core plugs match my car's specs like rounds in a chamber, firing up to 30 times a second for up to 30,000 miles of high revving firepower.
Precision AC Delco parts. They don't just fit, they match.
Keep your car running the way it was made to run.
Now get up to $780 back on AC filters and plugs. See your retailer for details. Since you don't buy a refrigerator every day.
I should have bought a Frigidaire! I finally got a Frigidaire.
Ask for the one that lasts and lasts.
I should have bought a Frigidaire. I finally got a Frigidaire.
For the Frigidaire dealer nearest you, call 1-800-451-7007.
I'll take the Frigidaire. Now.
Frigidaire, here today, here tomorrow.
The Valvoline race cam with some exciting shots as Al Unser Jr. goes down the backstretch, now into turn 7 and 8, headed for turn number 9. And look, right on his tail is Danny Sullivan. These cars appear to be equally matched. Sullivan can pull right up on the rear wing of that car, but he has not been able to get around so far.
Now, this will be the test, but he's got too much distance there. He cannot get up. You've got to be right up tight to be able to get that slingshot effect and take advantage and try to drive into the corner. Through the tight bits, he catches up. You can see him closing in there, going into turn 1, and through this twisty part of the racetrack, he's able to close in, but little Al gets off of the turns very well.
Al Unser Jr. in a fine run to this point with 28 laps completed. The leader continues to be Arie Luyendyk. Sullivan trying again in corner number 5, but unable to make the pass. So let's go to Larry Nuber, who can perhaps set up the first series of pit stops that are about to happen.
Well, Bob and Johnny, all things being equal, expect everyone to come in on laps 33 and 34. Now, it depends on that fuel light flashing on the dashboard, and Johnny, you can talk more about that, but that's how long the crews expect to go. And the importance of the pit stops here, unlike Illmore, where I was a week ago, there were 23 opportunities to check your fuel mileage. Here at Portland, you have only 2. That is, if you have a normal race, there will only be 2 pit stops. And as Johnny and Bob mentioned earlier, the fuel situation has been very critical here. So these pit stops at Portland, though they may seem routine, they'll happen very quickly. They are oh so important. Johnny, maybe as important as any race on the circuit.
Yes, I would think so. And there you saw in the pictures in Little Al's car the light flashing up on the top of the dash panel. And it's flashing on the straightaway, so he's going to be in the pit soon, I can assure you, because you get that light. Normally takes a while. There's Sullivan making a move on the inside.
Oh, I thought he was going to do it, but he still cannot get past Al Unser Jr. But Danny Sullivan is driving that car as hard as it can be driven.
Well, he really is. He's squirrely, in fact, getting in, braking so hard at the last minute.
Let's go to the other end of the pit area and Gary Lee.
Well, gentlemen, one observation. Keep in mind, as these cars come in on the same lap, we expect Al Unser Jr. and Arie Luyendyk on lap 33. But the Unser team, the Team Valvoline car, only has 1 entry, so they can have all their crew working on 1 car. Keep in mind that Dick Simon has 3 entries, so his crew is servicing 3 cars. Arie Luyendyk is only 1 of the 3-car stable, so we'll see just which crew has the best car and driver and crew combination.
We believe one of the first to make a pit stop is going to be Rick Mears, who is shown in 4th position. Here he is right now, and Larry Nuber standing by for the Rick Mears pit stop.
Roger Penske leaning out over the wall. The signboard is out showing Rick Mears where to come to stop. He hits it right on the mark. Crew chief Peter Parrott on the left front. Rick Mears, the man who was the fastest qualifier on the first day of qualifying, only to be disqualified because the rear wing was set back too far. There are some fingers being pointed to the undercarriage. 4 tires are changed, and Rick Mears is away in 14.7 seconds. So a very rapid fire and a very routine pit stop for Mr. Mears, the winner of this year's Indianapolis 500.
Back out on the racetrack, Rick Mears in competition once again. Derek Daly has also made a pit stop. Derek is shown in 15th position at the moment, and while we're talking about guys who are running back in that general area, Bobby Rahal, who was running in the top 5, has dropped all the way back to 10th position. We'll continue to watch that situation. So we completed 31 laps now, and we do expect some more pit stops here in the next couple of laps, and we understand that Danny Sullivan will be coming in this time around. The leader is Arie Luyendyk in the number 7 Provimi Veal car.
Arie is having a good ride. The car is working real solid for him. He's not having to press that hard, it doesn't look like. So the car is just flat working, and the engine's performing well for him.
Luyendyk moving through the 7th and 8th turns. Turn number 9, if he's coming into the pits, he'll make an indication, and he did not. He chooses to stay out there. Meanwhile, we go back and look at Al Unser Jr. and Danny Sullivan. We think Sullivan is coming in this time. He drops low on the racetrack, and indeed he does. Larry Nuber is right there again in the Penske pit.
Well, Chuck Sprague told me just before he bolted the wall to set up for this Danny Sullivan pit stop. You see Danny coming to a stop right in the mark. That Danny was saying the car was a little loose. They're taking a little bit of extra time to check this car over because, as you saw on the air, Danny had a spin, kept it going. Now, Chuck Sprague, the crew chief of this car, is on the left front. a little squirt of water to make sure that the fire doesn't erupt as they pulled away. Danny Sullivan does a 13.5-second pit stop, and that was with a little bit of extra attention. But boy, you'd never know it that they were looking this car over carefully because Danny was saying, hey, it's a little loose.
So about a second faster on the Sullivan pit stop than the Rick Mears stop. And now we watch Arie Luyendyk once again come through the east end of the racetrack. Will he be making a pit stop this time? Coming out of corner number 9, the car is indeed slowing down. And here comes Arie Luyendyk in for his first scheduled pit stop of the afternoon. And Gary Lee is there to report this stop.
The Pravimi Beal team will go to work. 6 guys over the wall. It will be a 4-tire change. However, Dick Simon says the car is handling like a dream. So they want some quick, efficient work in the pit and send him back out. Right now, all 4 tires being changed, 40 gallons of fuel being applied, a drink of water. And the crew is back away. The car is off to Jackson. Arie is underway.
And there is Al Unser Jr., who is finishing up his first pit stop. They push him away, and Al Unser Jr. goes back in competition. Now, very interesting, Johnny, and this could be the story of the race. You notice that Arie Luyendyk's pit stop was over 17 seconds, whereas Rick Mears and Danny Sullivan made pit stops in 13 and 14 seconds. And 3 seconds is a lot.
It really is. It's a lot to give up. But it's a situation where whoever gets the stops at the right time. I was interested in watching Rick Mears and see how much ground he might gain because he had made the stop previous to the others. And a lot of times if you do that, it works out to your advantage.
So the leader at the moment is Michael Andretti, who has not yet come in for a pit stop, and he will be having to very soon. Michael Andretti leading this 200-mile race. The Porsche is in and out for a quick pit stop. And Teo Fabi goes back out in competition. And another car following him out of the pits also, as several are now making and completing pit stops. And here now is Michael Andretti for a stop. Larry Nuber.
Michael Andretti, who along with Raul Boisel has completed the most laps on the IndyCar trail in 1988, comes in for his pit stop. This is one of the pride and joys of the Cosworth clan. He and Arie Luyendyk, all during the month of May at Indianapolis and here in June in Milwaukee and in Portland, have been the fastest of the Cosworth set. And Michael Andretti is in and out with a 4-tire change and a brand new load of fuel. Emerson Fittipaldi is the next front runner to exit from the pit area. He too executes a pit stop with no altercations or problems.
All right, so Emo moves back out in competition, and here is the way they're running as we have them. Arie Luyendyk reassumes the lead. Danny Sullivan was now shown in second position. Mario Andretti is third. Al Unser Jr. is fourth, and Michael Andretti goes into fifth position. And we believe that Rick Mears is now in sixth spot. But look at Danny Sullivan still driving the wheels off that car, and he is right behind the leader, Arie Luyendyk.
Well, now there is a race developing. There are several cars that were in the pits, made very good pit stops. You know, there's about 6 or 7 cars here that could inherit the lead or take the lead. There you see Luyendyk making a move on Kevin Cogan and Danny Sullivan in hot pursuit.
We actually have the first 4 cars that are very close out there on the racetrack. The leader, Arie Luyendyk, and there is one car separating Luyendyk from second place, Danny Sullivan. That would be Kevin Cogan. Cogan there in that red and white car. There is Sullivan, though, in second position. And right behind him is third place, Mario Andretti, and behind Mario is Al Unser Jr. So there's Mario in the number 6 car. And we understand that he has not made a pit stop at this point. Will be coming in soon to put some front wing in the car.
That may be telling us something that he's getting the mileage, and it could be at the end he'll be in the right spot when if anybody has some fuel. There's coming in. Mario breaks into the pit, so he's in.
Larry Nuber will call this pit stop of Mario Andretti.
Team manager Tyler Alexander and crew chief Colin Duff will go to work on Mario Andretti. Look for that slight adjustment that we were anticipating on the front wings. No move to it yet. A 4-tire change, as everyone, of course, has executed here. There'll be 4 tires changed on each of the 2 scheduled pit stops. There is the wing adjustment we were talking about. They lean over the front of the cockpit. A full load of fuel, then Mario Andretti is away in 17.8 seconds. So not one of the quicker pit stops, but a long ways from one of the slower.
I'm very impressed with your voice, Larry. It has improved greatly since last night when it was non-existent. Dale Coyne has come in for a stop, and this may be something other than a routine pit stop as Coyne continues to campaign that stock block engine. Ludwig Heimrath Jr., by the way, during his pit stop, committed a violation and has been black flagged by the kart officials. Ari Luyendyk is leading the Budweiser G.I. Joes to Danny Sullivan second.
Save hundreds of dollars during the Red Tag sale at Thornton Chevrolet. For 4 days, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Monday, prices on hundreds of new and used cars and trucks at Thornton Chevrolet have been drastically reduced. Discounts up to $3,000. Plus, you can get up to $1,000 cash back from the factory. No haggling, please. At Thornton Chevrolet's Red Tag sale, haggling isn't necessary. Look for the red tags and save like never before. The Red Tag sale, through Monday only, and only at Thornton Chevrolet.
As a home, and I enjoy helping people protect their homes, especially when I can save them money with a program like Grange Gold Star. It's complete protection at special low rates. It's a good feeling being a partner in protection.
Your valuable home deserves Grange protection. Call a Grange agent, your partner in protection.
You'll flip over USAC midgets and sprints. These powerful race cars make for an exciting challenge. Good things come in small packages. USAC Racing, Thursday night, live on ESPN.
We are back live, and Howdy Holmes has just spun in corner number 9, and the car is apparently without power. This, of course, is the car that Johnny Rutherford, or the team that Johnny Rutherford was involved in last year, and Howdy's car is stopped on the grass. Michael Andretti has come in, and this has to be something other than a routine pit stop. Perhaps he made contact with Howdy Holmes as he spun there in turn 9.
I believe that was turn 1 that Howdy was off in the grass.
Okay.
Yes, turn 1, and Michael, they're not really working very fast, so if they're looking the car over, got some sort of problem there.
Well, let's see what happened. Michael and Howdy running side by side, and that's what happened.
Yep. That was turn 9. I'm sorry. My mistake.
So Michael Andretti has come in for a stop, and they're working on the front end of that race car. He could have received some damage from that altercation. Meanwhile, it is Ari Luyendyk being pursued by Danny Sullivan on the racetrack. They're working at the front end, possibly a little bit of contact there on the left front of the race car.
Yes, it looked like they touched, and it could have bent the suspension somewhat and made the car go off in the handling department, and it's very critical at a place like this. So it's a shame for Michael Andretti. He'll have to do a lot of tall driving to do any catching up today.
They continue to work on the car, and Michael Andretti sits helplessly in the pit area, and Larry Nuber is there.
Johnny and Bob, they're a little concerned they can't find all the problems. The biggest problem they have found is the track rod, Johnny, on the left front side of the car. There's also concern over the brake ducts. Obviously, they were moved around a bit in the altercation, and they're checking the suspension. As you know, the adjustments are so critical that many of them almost cannot be seen by the human eye. So in a situation like this, you try to work as quickly as you can and come as close as you possibly can. Something you did with equipment and micrometers yesterday. You try to do it by feel today.
Yes, and that's where the driver comes into play. You have to take up the slack. The car will not be handling quite the same. Here's the replay. We'll see them coming down, and Howdy comes off of the line. Michael pulls up inside, and then Howdy pulls back down. Bang, they come together. That was the left front damage. Howdy goes all the way around, backs off in the grass.
Very similar incident to what Danny Sullivan experienced as he tried to pass a slower car and did a half spin and lost a couple of positions. We have a full course yellow on the racetrack. The track is going full yellow on lap number 40. So this will punch the field. It'll bring out the pace car, and everybody who had an advantage over somebody else, that advantage will be erased now as the field will bunch up. There's the leader, Ari Luyendyk, who has gone through the chicane, and there is Nick Finoro, who is displaying the yellow flags from the starter stand, indicating that the entire course is yellow. There we see John Andretti moving to the inside. The number 21 car of Howdy Holmes is in an unsafe position, according to the kart officials, and that's the reason that we are going the all-course yellow. Taking advantage of this yellow, Rick Mears comes in for another stop. Looks like they'll not change tires on the car, but they will refuel it, and Rick Mears goes back out in competition.
That will put him in a position to run a little bit longer and gain some spots, and then hopefully he will be able to, on the next round of pit stops, the last one, he'll be able to be in the position to hold first place if he gets it when everyone else stops. So it becomes a game now. Everyone is starting their calculations and strategies, and it'll all unfold, and we'll see who winds up with it at the end.
41 laps completed in the Budweiser G.I. Joe's 200 from Portland International Raceway. We're glad you could be with us on this beautiful Sunday afternoon in the Pacific Northwest.
The easy touch up for spots and grime. Stick it, it takes no time. Brighten up chrome, clear foggy glass. Stick it, it's clean as bad. Stick it.
Car Stick, the first car care products in a stick applicator. They're not for cleaning your whole car. Just pick out the spot, hit it with a stick, and buff. That's it. The quick, clean, easy way to touch up your car. The Car Stick, for when you don't need to clean the whole thing.
Stick it.
You know, that Ara Parsegan is some guy. After years of touting plastic coat, now he's happy to share the spotlight with me. Ara's a real professional. He taught me everything he knows. How well plastic coat covers, how long it lasts, the huge variety, the high quality. There isn't a thing that he left out. I really like this idea of sharing the spotlight. How about you, Ara?
ESPN Speed World live today at Portland International Raceway for IndyCar racing on Father's Day. And we wish everyone in the United States and Canada happy Father's Day. Well, the situation is a full course yellow to get Howdy Holmes' spun car off the racetrack. 42 laps have been completed. The leader is Arie Luyendyk. Second is Danny Sullivan. Third is Al Unser Jr. Now, after taking the yellow, John Andretti passed the leader, Arie Luyendyk, as they went into corner number 1, and you can see it happen right here.
Yeah, it's a hard one to figure. I don't know why, unless he did move back. Now, we can't see at this point whether he has in fact moved back or if he might have made a pit stop. But still, that was a no-no.
Gary Lee has a comment from the pit area.
Simon, of course, wants all the fans to know what's going on, so as soon as Arie called in on the radio, Dick ran over to me and said, Arie says, and he reported that the two cars went by. I said, Dick, how is the car handling now? You'll recall before the pit stop, Arie said the car was handling like a dream. They changed all 4 tires. Now the car is loose, but they will not stop under this full course yellow to change tires. They'll go with the current setup. So maybe, JR, you could explain exactly how the car can go from being a dream to being loose with new tires.
It can do it instantly.
With no explanation.
With no explanation, no reasons why. And it's a very hard thing to say. It could be that the tires, the staggers changed or went off or changed, were not quite the same. It may take a while for the tires to normalize, and for him, he'll have to start juggling. Full load of fuel, will change the handling characteristics of the car. So there are any number of things that he did while he was in on that pit stop that would have an effect on it when he came back out.
Well, now, John, I was just talking with Dick again, and Dick says after he went out and warmed the tires up to operating temperature, the car is once again a dream.
well, you see, there you go, from feast to famine in one banquet there. So he's back on the trail, and here we have a shot from little Al's car, and you can see on the side he has a strap that's used to hold his head up. This track is primarily right-handers, and so he's got the neck strap to hold his head up a little bit as later in the race comes about.
So under a full course yellow with Mount St. Helens in the background, we will be right back to Portland.
For many years, they've carried our beer. Special breed, delivering a special brand. Today, the Clydesdales also carry a message. One of consistency, care, of natural ingredients, and exclusive beechwood aging, which give Budweiser that distinctively clean, crisp taste. The Clydesdales. Today, they carry our message of quality.
When you replace ordinary spark plugs with Bosch Platinum plugs, you may not notice the change immediately. The quicker starts, the smoother acceleration, the extra performance only pure platinum delivers. So how long will it take you to notice the improvement Bosch Platinum plugs make? About that long. Bosch Platinum spark plugs, available at Kmart and other fine auto parts stores.
Back live at Portland International Raceway on this Sunday afternoon, a beautiful day in the Pacific Northwest. Speed World today for the Budweiser G.I. Joe's 200. Stop number 5 on the PPG IndyCar Trail for 1988. We're under a full course yellow to get Howdy Holmes' stalled car off the racetrack. However, we will be going yellow this time around. For those of you who did not hear the results of the Detroit Grand Prix Formula One race earlier today, no surprise, the McLarens finished first and second, with Ayrton Senna winning and Alain Prost finishing second. The Benetton of Terry Boutsen was third. Andrea de Chazaris was fourth, Jonathan Palmer fifth, and Pierluigi Martini sixth in the Detroit Grand Prix earlier today. Raul Boesel has abandoned his car and is
certainly
out of the
looks
race.
that way.
Yeah.
He's kind of parked down there. Maybe he stopped at the hot dog stand.
That's near the entrance to pit road. Actually, no, it's
it's
just near the
They've
chicane.
moved it out into a safe position, so it is back out of the way. But obviously, he's got a serious problem. There you can see the cars weaving, getting scrubbing pickup. You do this to scrub the pickup off of the tires because there's little flecks of rubber and stones and things out there, and the tires are hot. When you slow down, you start picking up these pieces, and it makes it very slippery.
Well, there's Rollo Alstead, and he is one of the legends in IndyCar racing. Has been around for many years as a car owner. Rollo Alstead watching the action here at Portland as we go back to green on lap number 45. Here comes Luyendyk, followed by Sullivan. That's Al Unser Jr., then Bobby Rahal, Kogan, and the others. Emerson Fittipaldi is actually in fourth position. Those other cars that we named off for you as they pass through are not on the lead lap. So it is Luyendyk, Sullivan, Al Jr., Emerson Fittipaldi, Mario Andretti, Rick Mears, Teo Fabi, John Andretti, and then Bobby Rahal, who's a lap down.
This shot always interests me to watch the driver and to see the movements, and you can see how physical it is, how much the car bounces and your head jiggles around. That's a good shot.
And to think that you have to go through 104 laps of that, shifting about 15 times every lap, not only concentrating on shifting, but accelerating the other cars around you. IndyCar racing isn't easy, is it?
No, but it's fun. I love it. Golly, I wish I was out there.
There is Emerson Fittipaldi in fourth position. Right behind him is another one of those making their first-time appearance on the Portland IndyCar. Oh, and Derek Daly has come together with Randy Lewis, and the front wing flies off of Derek Daly's car.
It looked like there was a little fish shaking there, so obviously it's another car out.
Dominic
Dobson pulls off. You can see what I'm talking about. See the rock stuck to the hot tires, so running slow out there. You've got to squeeze this off, but his car is smoking. Obviously, the engine has expired. He's out. There's a few words there, it looks like. Some hot tempers flaring, but no one is hurt.
And I believe we're going to a full course yellow again. Indeed we are. So the second full course yellow here in just the last few minutes. Derek Daly is not a happy person.
No, he's very upset over that situation. And, on a restart like this, you've got to be very cautious, and you have to watch out. Sometimes things just happen, but at other times guys make mistakes, and they act like there's no one else out there, and it's a shame that two of the cars are out of the race because of an altercation like that.
There is Randy Lewis, who is climbing out of his car. So drivers are okay, but the tempers are flaring down in the east end of the racetrack. Dominic Dobson, just after that happened, blew an engine here on the main straightaway, and that's the reason why he pulled off the course. So a lot happening here on lap number 47, but for the second time in this race, we are under a full Courchello at Portland International.
Just washing and waxing your car doesn't make it all clean. Clean Machine Car Detailer handles all the dirty details, inside or outside. Clean Machine Car Detailer from Turtle Wax. Your car just isn't clean without it.
I love keeping my car shiny, so I switched to ClearGuard Protectant. It's from Turtle Wax. You know Armor All is mostly water, but ClearGuard's all shine. Now, I hear they've got tests that prove it, but here's all the proof I need.
ClearGuard shines better, shines longer.
The Rainer Indy race car goes over 200 miles per hour. A Rainer Decade garage door, a bit slower. The Rainer race car develops over 750 horsepower. A Rainer door opener, under 1. The Rainer race car is built to perform a few hours. Rainer Decade doors and openers are built to last much longer. Rainer Decade garage doors, warranted to last as long as you own your home.
Hello! My name is Jiffy Jeff! What? You know, the most important thing in boxing is to never get caught with your gloves down. There are only 2 things to bring them down: fatigue and jock itch.
Don't let jock itch hit you below the belt. Fight back with Cruex. Cruex kills jock itch fungus and helps stop painful burning, itching, and irritation.
Time out! I got an itch!
Cruex, the #1 cure for jock itch.
The pace car leads the field through the chicane. We are under a full Courchello for the second time. Ari Luyendyk, Danny Sullivan, and Al Unser Jr. right behind the pace car. They are running first, second, and third. Now, we are under this full course yellow because of this. And once again, it was in turn number 9.
It's very hard to tell there by the angle. You can see that Daly was off, and he's shaking his fist violently at Randy Lewis there. So obviously, he felt as though Lewis punted him off. Here's another angle. There you can see Daly sliding off, and this is the infamous turn 9 where it happened, where Sullivan got sideways a while ago. So traffic gets a little thick down there, and there's not a lot of room to negotiate. So I'm sure they came together and got off the course. There we see Daly back in his car.
Well, it may not be over for Derek, as he has gotten back in the race car, and at least driving it to the pit area. Derek Daly in the Raynor Motorsports machine headed back for pit road and trying to get the car fired up. Dominic Dobson, by the way, also, we indicated to you, came down the front stretch here just after that little incident, and we said it was a blown motor. It actually was a blown turbocharger, but nevertheless, Dominic Dobson has also retired from competition.
We saw Daly turning his car around at the head of the drag strip up in front of the tire, the scoring tower. There he is back on the course, coming down, obviously heading into his pit to have a check.
Well, he did lose that left front wing, but that can be quickly replaced, and Derek Daly will undoubtedly be able to, or will he? Well, he's unstrapping. Maybe he's unstrapping just to get strapped in again.
Well, it may well be. He pulled his helmet off as well, so they're doing a routine pit stop, putting fresh rubber on, and he's evidently trying to get back in the car. He just went down to get the car fired up, bring it back to his pit. So I'm sure he'll be back in the field here in moments.
Gary Lee is right there with a further report.
Well, usually a crew member is helping the driver strap in, but all the crew members are tied up right now, changing the front wings, changing tires, refueling the car. So Derek has been trying to strap himself in. The problem was he was sitting on something, perhaps his balaclava. Yeah, he was sitting on the balaclava. He had to climb out, have a crew member reach in and dig it out of the cockpit. Now it's back on. The helmet is going on now as the crew replaces the front wing. The car has been topped off with fuel. Now they lose the power. They had it running. Now it's died. So they have to restart the Lola as they're trying to strap Derek back in the race car.
Well, we indicated that he was unstrapping just to get strapped in again. What happened was he got out of the car, of course, but then got back into the car to drive it to pit road. And what he's doing now is getting suited up and belted in for full-speed, high-level competition on the racetrack. As Gary told you, they've lost power in the car at the moment, trying to get it refired and back out there. Derek Daly from Noblesville, Indiana, involved in the skirmish down in corner number 9 with Randy Lewis. Well, one thing we have not seen a whole lot of, in fact, hardly any in IndyCar competition this year, is the loss of a wheel. And, of course, there were some incidents involving that last year, but they've done something over to winter to prevent that. Here is a quick fact. Quick Facts are brought to you by Quaker State Motor Oil. The big Q stands for quality. Always has, always will.
In seasons past, the major concern during a pit stop was getting the wheel secured so it would not come off. This year, CART has a mandatory wheel locking mechanism. There's a spring-loaded cylinder inside the spindle that corresponds with another spring-loaded cylinder inside the air gun. There are actually pins inside the cylinder that drop down when this is released, allowing the wheel to come off. It's very unlikely we'll see a wheel come off this season unless it comes off with the entire suspension mechanism in a crash.
That car we used for the demonstration, Derek Daly, and there you can see Derek is moving back out onto the racetrack. After that incident up in corner number 9, the car apparently is repaired and Derek is back out there. We'll be back with more right after this.
The big Q stands for quality. In Quaker State's 11,000 RPM Porsche, in Ricky Rudd's high-torque Buick, clean-running Quaker State with QSX gives them unbeatable protection from wear and tear.
And it's the same Quaker State you buy right off the shelf.
Quaker State, the big Q stands for quality. Always has, always will.
It's the Quaker State Porsche Sweepstakes and Rebate, and everybody wins. Mail in the rebate by August 5th, and you'll have $360 per case in your pocket, and maybe a Porsche in your garage.
I'm a broadcast journalist. This is a very glamorous profession. I got a new dog. I got an old house. I got new problems every day. But now I've got a new solution. This is it. It's called Prodigy. It's a new computer service. Want to see? From here, I can go shopping without leaving home. That's the election special. Maybe it will tell me who to vote for. Or maybe I should ask my horoscope. And from Dow Jones, I can find out about my stocks, all one of them. Here I can get Robert Novak's political column, and I can talk back to him. Yeah, I like Prodigy, and it's in color. And in a while, I'll be able to make travel plans, get groceries delivered, bank, who knows what else.
Prodigy, from a partnership of IBM and Sears. Call now to bring Prodigy into your home for just $9.95 a month.
And so it goes, only easier.
Prodigy. Soon, anything you can do better.
ESPN is your ticket to NFL Sunday night action when the best go head-to-head. As time runs out elsewhere, ESPN kicks off each Sunday night of the season with football's finest hour, NFL Primetime. The greatest plays from every game played that day. Then, Joe Theismann joins the team that won critical acclaim. NFL Sunday Night Football, live on ESPN.
Field once again very slowly through the chicane at Portland International as we are under caution once again. Now that yellow car there bringing up the rear is Rick Mears, and he has just made a pit stop. And Al Unser Jr. has the arms raised in an effort to cool himself off just a little bit as we remain under caution. Our Valvoline in-car camera providing the pictures. Al is third behind Danny Sullivan and Ari Luyendyk. Could this cause a problem with overheating, these cars running for so long under caution?
No. In fact, it will allow them to cool down a little bit. You know, when you're out there with the throttle down, the friction is generating a lot of heat with the turbocharger at full blow. So when you slow down, they have a tendency to cool off unless you've got a problem. And this will be good in some cases. Some cases it might create a problem when you try to bring it back up to temperature.
Now, Rick Mears made a pit stop during this caution period, and he has been the only one among the top 10 that has. Might that be a smart pit strategy, you think?
Well, it could. The only thing it does is it moves you back in the queue, and that's exasperating. When you've worked your way up and passed a lot of people, and you have to make a late pit stop like that, bang, you go from your good spot in the queue in the lineup on the yellow to the back of the pack.
And the green is about to come out. Look at Danny Sullivan get the jump on Ari Luyendyk. Luyendyk drops to the inside. The car just did not come up to speed. It's a drag race between Sullivan and Luyendyk and Al Unser Jr. Who's going to get through the chicane here? Oh, Luyendyk maintains. As a matter of fact, Sullivan dropped back to third. Just some great action there on the restart.
Now, that says a lot for the engines in Luyendyk's car. I'll tell you, I have raced against Dick Simon's cars for a number of years, and his engines always scream. They run extremely well. So there is proof that he was able to outdrag them off of turn 9, get down the front straightaway and into the chicane. So he's cooking. It's going to be his day if he doesn't have a problem.
Boy, it sure is. Ari Luyendyk is just holding his breath. We're not quite halfway through this race, but certainly Ari Luyendyk has been a very positive and great force in this race to this point. Now, here it is again. The green flag comes out, and it's 3 abreast to the chicane.
Yes, and here we see them all charging down in there. Luyendyk has the line, really, the best spot. Little Al had to get out of it. Sullivan was on the outside, had no recourse, so it was a matter of picking your spot, getting through that chicane, and then seeing what happens.
You know, Johnny, when that green came out, I thought perhaps there was a problem with Luyendyk's car. He just seemed to fall way back, but all of a sudden, boom, he was in the lead again.
Yes, I did too, and it's amazing to see him be able to drag race, as it were, and catch up and pass the other 2 cars like that down the straightaway, because they're both Chevrolets, and they have a little more torque.
So Danny Sullivan now is trying to get back up into second position, but Al Unser Jr. has that spot at the moment. Sullivan and Al Unser Jr. battling it out here for that second spot. And of course, we remember a couple of years ago when Danny Sullivan was involved in a battle in this particular area of the racetrack with Michael Andretti, and things didn't turn out too well for Danny as he got into the fence and ended his race.
Boy, Luyendyk has really got to cut his car. You can see there he has opened up some space on Al Unser and Danny Sullivan, and it's still going.
It's really quite amazing, the performance that Ari Luyendyk is turning in here. Gary Lee is in that Dick Simon pit, who is watching his driver, Ari Luyendyk, lead this race.
Well, Ari Luyendyk is also, in addition to leading this race, become a traffic commentator for ESPN. I went to Dick under that yellow and said, has Ari reported any type of slickness down in turn 9? There's a lot of altercations down there. So he said, hang on a second. So he hits Ari on the radio and says, Gary Lee from ESPN wants to know if there's a problem in turn 9. Ari comes back and says, nope, turn 9's fine. Thanks, Ari.
Well, the whole racetrack is fine with Ari Luyendyk right now. He is just having no problems whatsoever. The others file through. Car off the racetrack is the number 12 car, I believe. No, it's the 23 car, and that would be one of the other Simon cars, and that's driven by Terrell Palmroth. You can see the rookie stripes there on the wing of Terrell Palmroth. Didier Tays and Palmroth are also driving for Dick Simon, in addition to the leader, Ari Luyendyk. Looks like Terrell has that car back up to speed. Just got off the track a little bit, I believe.
Yes, I'm sure he cooked it into the corner a little hard, or he got into a position he didn't want to be in, slid off in the grass, and was able to save it, keep the engine running, which is a pretty good chore.
And you know, this right here speaks very well for Dick Simon. He brings along the younger drivers. He looks at who he thinks is going to have a good future in IndyCar racing. He asked them to drive for him. There you can see the Terrell Palmroth's progress. He started in 18th, was 16th at the end of 25 laps, and has moved to 13th position at the end of 50. Dick Simon certainly does help the younger and less experienced drivers get a start and a hold in IndyCar racing.
Yes, and of course he has 3 cars in operation, and it is good to see somebody like that come along and give a new guy a chance, because it's pretty tough today to get an opportunity to go straight into IndyCar racing. And he has always brought along guys that seem to do very well. As you know, look at here, we have Ari Luyendyk who is now with him, and still fairly new to IndyCar racing by standards, but he does bring along the new guys, and we like to see that.
It's about a 1-second lead, but certainly Al Unser Jr., who is in second position, is not out of this race by any means. But Ari Luyendyk doing very well and showing very strong here, as we are now just a couple of laps past the halfway point. We're on lap number 56. This is a 104-lap race. Now we begin to think about some pit stops coming in, and we understand that Ari Luyendyk, if the track stays green, is scheduled to come in on lap number 69, so that's 13 more laps from now. If there should be, of course, another caution period on the racetrack, he would take advantage of that. Now, let's talk about this Mario Andretti situation. We mentioned it a little bit earlier, but Mario is off sequence as far as pit stops are concerned, and it could be because of a new fuel system that he has on board that car.
Yes, he has a new fuel management system on the car that they're running, and I thought maybe it was the fact that he'd gone a little longer, but he has lost, after we've checked, he's lost a little more time in each segment than he should, and I thought he might have an opportunity with that late stop to be a factor at the end and with the fuel system, but evidently it's not working all that well, and Mario is just out there kind of holding his own at this point.
He's in 5th at the moment, about 16 seconds behind the leader. Now our Napa mid-race recap. It shows us that at the halfway point, the leader was Arie Luyendyk. He had led 38 of the 52 laps. The average speed was 94.89 miles an hour, and Arie made his first and only pit stop on lap number 33. We have had 2 overall caution periods for a total of 10 laps. There have been 4 leaders and 3 lead changes. 26 started this race, 20 remain on the racetrack, and there are 8 cars currently on the lead lap. Those that are out of the race include Raul Boisel, Scott Atchison, and Ludwig Heimrath Jr. Also out, Dale Coyne, Dominic Dobson, and Randy Lewis. Now let's take a look at some of the highlights that we have had during the first half of this event. Danny Sullivan there in the gold and white car, bringing up the tail, trying to move around Rocky Moran in corner number 9, and it didn't work as Danny got sideways, and I thought he was going to stall, but he kept the car going. He did, however, lose a lead. There is Arie Luyendyk in the black car, moving to the inside and going into the lead. Then another altercation in corner number 9, this one involving
Howdy Holmes and Michael Andretti.
And that was the reason for our first overall caution of the day. They had to get Howdy Holmes' car out of that position. And then this incident, just as the green came back on, Derek Daly with some fist shaking at Randy Lewis. Lewis was unable to continue. However, Derek Daly has been able to get back out on the racetrack and rejoin the competition. And here is the restart after that overall caution, and it was a drag race 3 abreast to the chicane.
That is incredible that Arie was able to overcome what looked like a certain pass and come back through the 2 guys and take the lead.
And that's the way they're running at the moment, just the way they went through the chicane there, with Arie Luyendyk, the leader. Has about a 1.3-second advantage over Al Unser Jr. Danny Sullivan is running 3rd. Emerson Fittipaldi is 4th, and Mario Andretti is in 5th position. Teo Fabi is also on the lead lap, as is John Andretti and Rick Mears. We'll be back with more of our live coverage from Portland after these messages.
Listen to the heartbeat. Listen to the heartbeat.
Moving into more car doesn't have to be expensive or boring. Today's Chevrolet Celebrity. It's for people who've grown up without growing old.
The heartbeat of America. That's today's Chevrolet.
Why does Indy 500 winner Rick Mears race on Goodyear Eagles exclusively? Because of the Goodyear Eagle contact patch and how it responds to the track. And why does Oldsmobile choose Goodyear Eagle street radials for the Indianapolis 500 pace car? A major reason is the Goodyear Eagle contact patch, where the car ultimately responds to the road. Goodyear Eagles, because there really is a difference.
Back at Portland International Raceway, where we are covering live for you the Budweiser G.I. Joe's 200 IndyCar race. And for those of you who have been watching the Lakers-Pistons game, we welcome you. For those of you who have been staying with us, we can tell you that the Lakers won this afternoon, 103-102, forcing a 7th and final game. As far as this race is concerned, it is Arie Luyendyk in the lead, and Al Unser Jr. is running 2nd, Danny Sullivan 3rd, Emerson Fittipaldi is 4th, and Mario Andretti is in 5th position. Now, after this race, later tonight on SportsCenter, you'll want to be tuned to get the latest condition of Bobby Allison. He was involved in a crash at the Winston Cup race at Pocono International Raceway. He was taken from the car unconscious and is reported to have some broken ribs and a broken leg. However, you'll want to be with us on SportsCenter as we update you on the condition of Bobby Allison, who crashed during the Winston Cup race this afternoon at Pocono International Raceway. Also, Ayrton Senna won the Detroit Grand Prix, and Alain Prost finished in second position. Earlier today here at Portland, Juan Manuel Fangio won the American Racing Series event.
Luyendyk seems to be, he and little Al are kind of rubber banding, sitting there. Al's holding his position with Ari, but Sullivan has dropped back. So I don't know whether he has a problem or whether just the pace that Ari is setting is a little bit more than he would like to go at this point.
Correction, Tommy Byrne won the ARS race here at Portland, and Juan Manuel Fangio was second. Okay. There's Luyendyk setting the pace and averaging about 97.44 miles an hour in the first 62 laps of this event. There's second and third, streaming through the picture, Al Unser Jr. and Danny Sullivan.
Sullivan has picked up the pace a little bit. He's closed in. A while ago, he was back some distance. He may have made a change with the roll bars in his car or something, trying to do a catch-up, and he's doing that.
Al Unser Jr., the winner at Long Beach earlier this year, is running in second position. Al Unser Jr.'s other finishes this year: an 18th at Phoenix, 13th at Indianapolis, and a 20th at Milwaukee. And there is Emerson Fittipaldi, and he is running in fourth position and having a very good year this year. Emerson Fittipaldi has a couple of very good finishes in the most recent two races. Of course, he was second at the Indianapolis 500 and finished third at Milwaukee. So Emerson Fittipaldi now fourth here at Portland. There is Mario and Michael Andretti. And Mario is running in fifth position. Michael Andretti, however, is several laps back. You remember he had to come in for a pit stop to make some changes and some repairs to the right front of that car, the left front actually, as he was involved in an incident out in corner number 9 earlier. So Michael is not on the lead lap, but nevertheless running very close with his father.
This must be a magnet for those two. It seems like they're always running together at Portland.
Michael has shown 2 laps down to the leaders. Mario is on the lead lap in 5th position. There is Luyendyk once again. The car working beautifully. And again, we anticipate a pit stop around lap number 69. So that would be within the next 5 laps. It'll be a very important and crucial pit stop for that Ari Luyendyk team. Well, let's go to Larry Nuber, who is down in the pit area and watching everything from the Roger Penske pit. Larry?
Well, Bob, first of all, about Danny Sullivan, you wondered why he might have been slowing. The pits here say there's no perceptible slowing on their watches, but if there is a mid-race period where you're going to sit back and take a deep breath and get ready to the run for the roses, we are in Portland after all, that's what's going on right now with Danny. Now, earlier you and Johnny were also talking about Mario Andretti being out of sync because of their new fueling system. Well, please note that Rick Mears is also out of sync on his fuel pit stops. Right now, his fuel tank is showing only about 24 gallons left, while everyone else up and down pit road has more than 40. But you might say, well, he's burning up more fuel. He's really in deep trouble. He's not going to finish this race. No, that's not true. Remember, during the last yellow flag, Rick Mears came in and pitted twice. At that time, I asked Roger Penske, what's going on? He said, hey, if this race goes the rest of the way green, I'm in really good position, and I can't believe that no one else running up front has also taken the time to pit now. So what I'm suggesting, Johnny, is that if this race does go the rest of the way green and Rick Mears and Roger Penske are getting normal, predictable fuel mileage, he might be in the best position to win this race.
Well, that's the gamble you take, and that's the way you play the game, is you try to make all of the right moves, and if that in fact turns out to be, then they will be the winners, and that's what counts. You got to be the first guy to get the checkered flag, and that's the name of the game.
Right now, though, Rick is in 8th position and about 36 seconds behind the leader. So at the moment, he is not in a challenging position. There are the first 3, Luyendyk, Al Unser Jr., and Danny Sullivan, as they once again come through the chicane. 66 laps completed, 3 more until a possible pit stop by the leader, Ari Luyendyk. Luyendyk, of course, has never won an IndyCar race. He finished 9th earlier this year at Phoenix. He was 10th at Long Beach, 10th at Indianapolis, and 15th in Milwaukee. So it's been a very steady year so far for Arie Luyendyk.
Luyendyk is just working superbly. His car, he's able to slip and slide. It doesn't look like it's beating him to death. The car is just really operating nicely. That's the way you dream about it.
Luyendyk, of course, his car is powered by a Cosworth engine, and with all the wins that the Chevy Indy engine has had this year, I asked him earlier in the weekend if he would really rather have a Chevy engine.
I think at this stage, I have to say yes. I think that the Chevy engine has arrived. It's something I said all along this year before Indy. I knew they were going to finish. And they seem to be fast. They seem to be reliable. And I would like to have a Chevy, but now we have to work with what we have, and what we have is really good. Cosworth is doing a good job for me, and we are putting some different things on our engines. We're trying to keep up with the Chevys, and hopefully we'll have that in Cleveland.
So Arie Luyendyk, I don't think, would trade that Cosworth that's in that car this afternoon for any Chevy or any other car, because it is showing the pace so far. Gary Lee in the pit area.
Bob Jenkins, there's one race driver that is serving as an analyst for us today up there in the booth who has so often said, I would rather be lucky than good. Now, right now, Arie has everything going his way. The question is, does he have Lady Luck in the cockpit with him? Remember, he was fast. He led at Phoenix and then had a pit stop and a fire in the pits that cost him a chance of victory there. What he needs is Lady Luck. They hope now the second pit stop can be maybe 2 or 3 seconds faster than the first one. The crew is standing by. They are ready for pit stop number 2 for Arie Luyendyk.
Well, that's why I said a little bit earlier that the second stop for Arie Luyendyk is going to be very important. Not to take anything away from the Dick Simon crew and those that will be changing the tires and fueling the car on Arie Luyendyk, but perhaps they're not quite as proficient and quite as fast as the Rick Gallis team or the Roger Penske team. And so when we see Arie Luyendyk come in here in maybe another lap or so, it could be very important.
Very much so, because if he gets in and out clean, and even 15 or 16 seconds, his car appears to be handling and running well enough that when he gets the tires back up to temperature, gets accustomed to the full load of fuel again, all he has to do is wait for the other teams. He's in. He's made his break into the pits, so Arie Luyendyk is coming in and relinquished the lead to Al Unser Jr.
Just as predicted on lap number 69, here's Gary.
And here is Arie right on the button. Remember, this year, CART allows 6 crew members over the wall, so each tire will have 1 man to change the tire. We also have the vent man and also the refueler. They're trying for a stop maybe 2 seconds faster than before. The car was handling beautifully through the first series of pit stops. Now the second series, 16.1 seconds, just a tad quicker than the first stop.
That's just what they wanted.
Yep. Very, very good stop for Arie Luyendyk. Almost clockwork-like. Now the lead goes to Al Unser Jr. And Danny Sullivan is right on his heels, as these two will have to be coming in for a pit stop before long. Sullivan has been pursuing and stalking Al Unser Jr. for the last few laps. These cars appear to be very equally matched. Sullivan has been unable, however, to make a pass on Al Unser Jr. We'll see if either one of them comes in for a stop this time. Looks like Al Jr. is. Yes, indeed. Al Unser Jr., the leader, is coming in for his second routine pit stop of the afternoon. Here's Gary once again.
Crew Chief Owen Snyder and the crew of the Valvoline March is standing by. Chevy power for Al Unser Jr. Once again, a 4-tire change. That is customary for the road courses. They'll top off the fuel, and then we'll have to check and see if there's any fuel left in this side tank. It's a very quick one, a good stop. Oh, does he stall the engine? No, he revs it up. He's still waiting. What's the problem? They're trying to put as much fuel in as possible. Now it's becoming a very slow stop for Al Jr. They're trying to jostle in some fuel from this fuel line, from this gravity-powered tank. 30 seconds and still counting. Now he's away. Oh, a very costly stop. 32.8 seconds for Al Jr.
Oh, that was costly. That really will hurt in the long run, because Luyendyk went back into second place, and Sullivan now will have to make his stop, which puts Luyendyk right in the right place.
And Danny Sullivan now will be coming in for a pit stop. Here he comes right now. Larry Nuber is in the Roger Penske pit.
Well, Bob, here's the third king of Orient R of the Portland IndyCar race today. Danny Sullivan makes his second and final pit stop right on the mark. They go to work on all four corners of the machine and not even checking for any problems. You remember the first time they came in, there was a tad bit of concern about whether or not there was any structural damage because of the spin. Danny is back down. The spurt of water, 14.2 seconds, and Danny Sullivan is away. The big question now is, what about his exit speed and entrance speed? How close is he on the track now with the Ari Luyendyk machine? One of those two cars appears to be out on top when this series of pit stops will be over.
So Danny Sullivan was just a little bit quicker pit stop than Ari Luyendyk, but still, these guys are going to be battling it out for the finish of the race at the moment. Having not made a pit stop, the leader is Emerson Fittipaldi. We'll be right back.
If you're like me, you want your engine to perform. You want it to run clean, and you don't want sludge. That's why you and I both need Quaker State with QSX. No other oil runs cleaner or fights sludge better. And the Quaker State I use in my car is the same oil you can buy right off the shelf for your car.
Quaker State. The big Q stands for quality. Always has, always will.
It's the Quaker State Porsche Sweepstakes and Rebate, and everybody wins. Mail in the rebate by August 5th, and you'll have $360 per case in your pocket and maybe a Porsche in your garage.
I'm Michael Andretti, famous for fast starts and fast cars. I get my power in my own cars from Astrolite batteries. On the road, off the road, or around the town with Astrolite batteries.
Astrolite batteries with advanced power technology to get you off to a fast start.
Not bad.
Astrolite gives you the power.
You'll flip over USAC midgets and sprints. These powerful race cars make for an exciting challenge. Good things come in small packages. USAC Racing, Thursday night, live on ESPN.
Back at Portland International Raceway, Bob Jenkins along with Johnny Rutherford, Larry Nuber, and Gary Lee as we bring you live coverage of the Budweiser G.I. Joe's 200. At the moment, the red and white car, driven by Emerson Fittipaldi, is in the lead. However, he has not made his second scheduled pit stop. So Emerson Fittipaldi will be coming in here in just a few laps to get some more fuel, as we have completed now 73 of the 104 laps that will make up this race. Al Unser Jr. is involved in some heavy traffic out there. That is Rick Mears right ahead of him. A very, very slow pit stop because the fuel would not go in this car of Al Unser Jr. He pulls to the inside, however, of Rick Mears as they go into the chicane, and he passes Rick Mears, so Al Unser Jr. now moves back into fifth spot. A very slow pit stop, though, has dropped him from the second place that he was running before he came in.
Now, that would be interesting to see just exactly what the problem was there and why he was in for so long.
Well, the word was there was some kind of a problem with the refueling mechanism.
Refueling rig, but here's Emerson.
Yep, Emerson Fittipaldi, who was the leader, now is in, and Gary Lee is there to report it.
The Pat Patrick March is in, and the crew goes to work. The final pit stop for the two-time world driving champion, Emerson Fittipaldi, in the colors of Marlboro. A four-tire change. They'll top off. Jim McGee says the fuel economy is excellent in the Chevrolet power plant. They're very happy. At about a 15-second lead going in. He's away.
So Emerson Fittipaldi begins to build up speed once again, pulling back onto the racetrack after a 19-second pit stop in the Marlboro March. And we have a car pulling off the track there. Yeah.
It appeared to be the Machinist Union car, number 11.
We'll check on that as we continue to follow Emerson Fittipaldi in his effort to build up speed.
It would have been Kevin Cogan that pulled off with problem.
Rick Mears and Al Unser Jr. is right behind Emerson Fittipaldi. There they are, with a slower car, one of the Dick Simon cars between the two. So Danny Sullivan now assumes command of this race with about a 3-second lead over Ari Luyendyk. Because of this series of pit stops, Danny Sullivan got out, had a quicker pit stop, and therefore is in the lead once again. He was in the lead earlier in the race and lost it when he got tangled up with a car as Mario Andretti comes in. And once again, he is off sequence with the others, but it's a little bit better sequence than it was earlier, and Larry Nuber is there.
Yes, it is, Bob. I think he's in a pretty good position. As a matter of fact, the new fuel management system that we talked about earlier is doing its job. Here's the only man who has won 2 of the races, 2 of the 4 events that have been conducted here at Portland International. Everything is going on routine. The left side tires are on the left side, the right side tires on the right side. He does that in about 16 seconds. Make that 17.2 seconds. I'm leaning over looking at the fuel gauge, and there's just a little left. So I'd say things are in pretty good shape because they don't figure they have to come in one more time.
And there's just a little bit left of your voice, too, but it sounded pretty good compared to what it was last night. I didn't give Larry any chance at all of being with us this afternoon because of the laryngitis, but sounded pretty good despite all the shouting that he's doing down there in the pit area. Well, look who's come out right ahead of his son. Mario and Michael are once again right together on the racetrack. Danny Sullivan leads. There he is passing John Jones, who is not being shown in the top 15. Yes, he is. He's shown in 10th position. And we understand that Kevin Cogan was the car that pulled off the racetrack there as we saw Emerson Fittipaldi come out of the pits. And Kevin Cogan has retired from competition because of a clutch problem. So now it becomes a pursuit of Danny Sullivan. Ari Luyendyk, who has looked so strong. There he is in the black car with a couple of cars between himself and Danny Sullivan, but it's now a job of catching up, and he has not had to play this game very often this afternoon. The question becomes, can that Cosworth engine get back up front and challenge Danny Sullivan, who's in the Chevy? Made quick work for Scott Brayton there as he passed him at the end of the backstretch.
Yes, that car is working, and it's running well, too. So I think it's just a matter of time and we'll see him back up challenging.
We're back inside Al Unser Jr.'s car, and right ahead of him is Emerson Fittipaldi. Emerson is 3rd and Al Unser Jr. 4th. So little Al is battling with Immo for this spot. We go out of corner number 9 and begin a full lap inside the Valvoline car driven by Al Unser Jr. This is a lap around Portland International. Jr.'s Valvoline race cam with the pictures. He is right behind Emerson Fittipaldi, who is 3rd. Al Unser Jr. is 4th. 5th position at the moment belongs to Rick Mears. In 6th is Mario Andretti. 7th is John Andretti. In 8th position unofficially, Teo Fabi in the Porsche. 9th is Bobby Rahal, and 10th is John Jones. On down from there, Scott Brayton shown in 11th. Didier Taze is 12th. Michael Andretti 13th. Rocky Moran is 14th. Roberto Guerrero is in 15th position. And just dropping out of the race with a clutch problem was Kevin Cogan in car number 11.
Emerson appears to be able to pull away off of the turns, like he may have a little different gear ratio and is able to get off of the corners a little better than Al. There you see Al slipping a little bit. He had to really catch himself to keep from going off of the road.
Sure did. He got the left side of that car off the racetrack, but fortunately saved it and got back on without losing very much, maybe a second or so. The leader is Ari Luyendyk. Danny Sullivan, who is right behind that John Andretti car. Now let's give you a summary of the latest pit stops. The second and probably the final pit stops have been made. Ari Luyendyk went in first and came out in 2nd position. Al Unser Jr. went from 2nd to 4th. Danny Sullivan was the big gainer. He went in 3rd position, came out with the lead. Emerson Fittipaldi gained 1 position, and Mario Andretti fell 1 position, coming in 5th and going out in 6th spot. So Danny Sullivan was the big advantage as he was able to pick up 2 spots in the pit area, and he leads by about 3.9 seconds over Arie Luyendyk. And we'll be back with more of our live coverage in the shadows of Mount Hood.
When it comes to making great wheels look their best, Eagle One doesn't miss a beat. Eagle One, a complete line of wheel and body care products for those who love cars as much as we do.
Introducing Stanley cordless tools with power that won't quit. Because unlike many other cordless tools, the new Stanley cordless drill and cordless screwdriver are designed with removable, rechargeable battery packs. So the only time they stop working is when you do.
Off-road championships, one truck won more races than any truck in history. Chevy truck. Built to win.
The heartbeat of America. That's today's Chevy truck.
At his last tune-up, Jim McGill forgot to change something very important. His engine belts. After 4 years, belts can break anytime. So don't take chances. Next tune-up, get Gates belts. More mechanics install Gates and more people rely on them than any other belt made. Remember, if your car's 4 years old, get Gates before it's too late.
Back at Portland International Raceway, and what a beautiful sight as the chain of volcanoes near this area, all visible today because of the crystal clear weather and crystal clear skies that we have here. After this race is over, stay with us. Chris Berman and Tim Brando will have all the latest from the world of sports on SportsCenter. They'll, of course, be updating you on the final round of the U.S. Open and on the Winston Cup race in Pocono today, a race in which Bobby Allison was injured. And, of course, we'll have all the latest from the world of sports on SportsCenter tonight following our live coverage of this IndyCar race here at Portland. Well, Derek Daly has retired from competition. The car is off the racetrack, and this is the reason why he is out of the race.
Yes, we see him coming down the front straightaway here directly in front of Mears, and suddenly he gets a wisp of smoke right there, and that's telltale. It must have been enough, and it rattled hard enough that he broke a drive shaft. You know, thing must have gotten into something, but he went straight off of the road, out of the way, into a safe place, and he's finished for the day.
So he will not bring out a full Courcello because the car is in a safe position, and that means that green continues here at Portland, and Danny Sullivan is the leader, and he now has increased his advantage over Arie Luyendyk by a little over 4 seconds. So now we're seeing Derek walk back toward the pit area. It's been a very frustrating afternoon for him. Earlier, he was involved in a situation down in turn number 9 with Randy Lewis, got back out onto the racetrack, but now it ends with apparently a broken drive shaft. John Andretti in car number 98 is also pulling off the course. An unfortunate situation for John because he was running in 7th position, but a big puff of smoke from the rear of that car signals the end of the day for John Andretti.
This is when it starts taking its toll. The cars have been running steadily. We've not had a yellow, so we're going to see this start happening.
We have exactly 20 laps to go. 84 are in the books as John Andretti takes off the helmet and the head sock. And let's go now to Gary Lee in the pit area, who has a comment on Danny Sullivan, who's the leader.
I think we have well documented the prowess of the PC-17. This chassis is number 5, the one that Danny is driving. It's a brand new car. In fact, the chassis that Rick Mears is in is the same car that Al Sr. drove at the Speedway in the Indy 500. The 500 winner, Rick Mears, is back in the hauler. Now, as far as fuel consumption, this pit side tank is empty. I talked to Chuck Sprague, the crew chief. I said, do you have enough fuel? He said, just enough, and kind of laughed. I don't think he's that sure. The only fuel left over here in the pit area is right here, about 2.5 to 3 gallons in this refueling hose. They hope they have enough to go the distance.
Gary, I've also checked Al Unser Jr. and Ari Luyendyk, and I'll tell you, if Danny Sullivan is low on fuel, these guys are running on fumes only, because there was less fuel showing in the tanks of Al Unser Jr. and Ari Luyendyk than there was in Danny Sullivan. I compared all 3 of them, and like I said, if Chuck says that they're low, these other guys are really going to be in a crisis come down the last couple of laps. But I think, based on fuel consumption and just kind of peering over people's shoulders and looking at charts, I think everybody's in good shape. They're right on the money. There certainly is no reserve, though.
Well, the teammates, Danny Sullivan and Rick Mears, are running together on the racetrack. Actually, Danny is pulling away now just a little bit. And earlier, there was a near spin involving Rick Mears as he was right in front of Sullivan.
Yeah, he got sideways there coming off and had to get out of it. And, of course, that was a break for Sullivan. Put Mears on the outside of the track, and he let him get by. He might have been trying to move for him anyway, and turning, and the car got a little loose.
Well, you know, in a couple of races here in Indianapolis and Milwaukee, we have seen instances in which there may have been a little bit of team strategy and team orders used. However, the Penske team denies them, but nevertheless, Sullivan, we think, was allowed to get back on the lead lap at Milwaukee and vice versa at Indianapolis.
Well, Mears was complaining earlier. We had a note that he was complaining of the car being very slippery out there and not getting traction. So, you know, that could be the problem. He tried to make a move to get out of Danny's way, and it didn't work.
Danny Sullivan right on the rear wing of Rocky Moran, driving car number 56. So Rick Mears is a lap down now. You saw Danny pass him and put him a lap down. Rick had just gone back out onto the racetrack after a pit stop. So that means now that there are 5 cars that are on the lead lap. Danny Sullivan, Ari Luyendyk about 7 seconds behind now, and that interval has continued to increase the past few laps. It was 3, then it was 5, then it was 7, and Luyendyk, we understand, has lost 3rd gear out on the racetrack, and that isn't going to be very pleasant news for the Dick Simon team, and perhaps we are seeing Ari Luyendyk's hopes and dreams of winning his first IndyCar race vanish. Larry Nuber can perhaps fill us in with more.
Well, standing by with the man who's become very popular in this broadcast, at least familiar. 3rd gear gone, Dick?
Yes, it is. Unfortunately, Ari lost it just a couple of laps ago, and he's doing his best to run without it. The thing we're worried about, of course, is those little pieces can get between the other gears and could cause those to go. It's just a hope and a prayer at the moment.
If he goes without 3rd gear, can you assess his chances of catching and staying ahead of Danny Sullivan?
They're not very good. You can't give an inch to anybody here. It's competition's tough, and to lose 3rd gear makes it very hard because there are a number of 3rd gear turns here.
Any reaction from the cockpit from Ari?
Yes, he's very disappointed. His chief mechanic, Gilbert Lays, said, "We're sorry, Ari. Do your best."
Well, Ari Luyendyk, who was very close to that first win ever. It's not over yet, but it looks like that Lady Luck that Bob, you and Johnny were talking about a little earlier is going to have to smile on Ari to pull this one out.
Yeah, it really does. An unfortunate situation, but it's been a very, very good run, and Ari Luyendyk has nothing to be ashamed of in this Budweiser G.I. Joe's 200 that we're covering live for you here on ESPN, and we will be right back.
Doing bills?
No, a bank statement. Look at this. They charge us 30 cents each for these checks.
I thought interest checking was supposed to pay us.
Exactly. So I found one that pays interest without those per-check charges.
With First Atlanta's interest checking, there are no per-check charges. Just a simple flat fee if you happen to fall below our low minimum balance. It's called income checking, and it's only from First Atlanta.
Does this mean I fix breakfast?
You got it.
Flags, a symbol of strength, pride, and achievement.
The Grange flag stands for something more: protection. When you've found that home you've always wanted, look to Grange Insurance and count on Grange protection for your auto, for your business, for your life. To protect all that you hold dear, look to the Grange Insurance flag. Talk to a Grange agent soon and make Grange your partner in protection.
We hope you're enjoying the Budweiser G.I. Joe's 200 IndyCar race from Portland International Raceway. We are 89 laps into this event, and 104 make up this race. So we are nearing the closing stages, and Danny Sullivan with now about a 9-second advantage on Ari Luyendyk. Emerson Fittipaldi runs in third spot, and then Alonso Jr., and that's whose car we are inside of right now as he goes down the backstretch and into turn number 7. Danny Sullivan has been leading this race since the last series of pit stops when Alonso Jr. had a poor stop, and in the meantime, Ari Luyendyk has lost third gear in his car, so everything is going well for Danny Sullivan, the Roger Penske team. Question is, does he have enough fuel to go the distance? This has always been a racetrack that has caused some fuel problems for drivers in the past, and it could very well be a problem here this afternoon. Emerson Fittipaldi, we understand, is trying to conserve fuel out there as he has dropped off the pace by about 33 seconds behind the leader. We understand that Emerson is quite concerned about fuel.
It's that time of day when you start looking and you reassess. You've made your pit stops. You know what your fuel consumption is. You sit there and you add it all up and you say, whoa, we've got to take a chance here, or we've got to settle back and make it count. So it'll be interesting to watch the strategies unfold here in the last few laps.
Danny Sullivan has had a very consistent day as far as where he has been positioned on the racetrack. He began on the pole. At the end of 25 laps, he was third. 50 laps, he was second, and 75 laps, he had moved back into first position. So he has been a contender all race long, and now finds himself in the lead with his nearest competitor, Ari Luyendyk, having a problem with gears. He has lost third gear in that car. So it would appear as if Danny Sullivan is on his way to victory, but again, don't go away, because fuel could play a very big part in the outcome of this event. For those of you tuning in for SportsCenter, it will be coming right up with Chris and Tim to give you all the results of the U.S. Open and all the other baseball scores and things that have happened in the world of sports today. It'll come up right after our live coverage of this IndyCar race. There is Ari Luyendyk, who is running in second position. There's the leader, Danny Sullivan, as he comes through turns number 2 and 3. And with a 7.19 second advantage on Ari Luyendyk. There it is as far as visual distance. Luyendyk holding on to that second spot, and he has quite a bit of racetrack between himself and third place Emerson Fittipaldi. So it looks good for Luyendyk holding on to that second spot unless he has another problem here in the late going. Sullivan approaching some of the slower traffic now on the racetrack. 92 laps have been completed. We've got 12 more to go in this race. As now Danny Sullivan moves to the inside of the racetrack and passes one of the slower vehicles out there on the track.
He is gaining, by the way, on second place. So he has it all going his way right at this moment. And, of course, he's using fuel. The car's getting lighter. It's a little more responsive, and he's taking advantage of that, and it will be interesting to see if he goes to the end of the race. And the distance certainly looks awfully good for him at this point.
Joni Carter, who uses the computerized video art. We are utilizing it today on our coverage of this race. Danny Sullivan, the leader here at Portland International. So we'll be right back with our live coverage. There are the top 5 at the end of 92 laps.
Some garage door manufacturers offer a 1-year warranty. Some will give you one for 10 years. Some will partially cover their garage doors for a little longer. But only one company will warranty its garage door to last as long as you own your home. And that could be a very long time. The Rainer Decade Garage Door. The only door warranted to last as long as you own your home.
Cars aren't cheap, never have been. That's why I never take shortcuts with cheap oil and air filters. Give me AC filters every time. AC filters match the original specs on my cars like a nut on a bolt.
Precision AC Delco parts. They don't just fit, they match.
Keep your car running the way it was made to run.
Now get up to $780 back on AC filters and plugs. See your retailer for details.
ESPN is your ticket to NFL Sunday night action when the best go head-to-head. As time runs out elsewhere, ESPN kicks off each Sunday night of the season with football's finest hour, NFL Primetime. The greatest plays from every game played that day. Then, Joe Theismann joins the team that won critical acclaim. NFL Sunday Night Football, live on ESPN.
We hope you're enjoying our live coverage of the Budweiser G.I. Joe's 200, being brought to you by Quaker State Motor Oil. The big Q stands for quality, always has, always will. By Budweiser Beechwood Age for that clean, crisp taste. This Bud's for you. By the heartbeat of America, today's Chevrolet. And by the Robert Bosch Corporation, makers of Bosch Platinum, the ultimate spark plug. 4 cars on the lead lap, 8 laps to go. Danny Sullivan in command. Ari Luyendyk 9 seconds behind. Emerson Fittipaldi 38 seconds behind, and Al Unser Jr. is 43 seconds behind. A lap down in 5th position is Mario Andretti. Then 6 through 10, Rick Mears, Teo Fabi, John Jones, Scott Brayton, and Didier Tays. Michael Andretti is running 11th. He's 3 laps down. Bobby Rahal is 12th. Then Rocky Moran, Roberto Guerrero, A.J. Foyt, and Howdy Holmes. Well, what do you think here? Can Danny Sullivan finish this race without a fuel? Well, there's no need to make a fuel stop. They have got all the fuel in the car that they can probably have. But can he win the race? That's a question we're going to answer in a few laps. This is Teo Fabi, and our hats off to the Quaker State Porsche team. I believe they're beginning to make their mark, Johnny.
Yes, they're starting to show signs. They've run all day today. They've been a factor early in the race. They were up front. So I think it's time. They're learning the business, as it were, and the Teo is to be commended. He's been out running a good competitive race, holding his own, staying right in there. Of course, we're wondering if Sullivan can go the distance. There in the cockpit, you have chores that you start doing under these set of circumstances. You start short shifting the car, not running up the RPM so that you use a lot of fuel. You start maybe coasting a little bit more, watching the deficit between you and second place, and so it's time for that to start happening, and that may come into play and have a factor on Sullivan being able to go the distance and winning the race.
Teo Fabi once again being shown in that 7th position in the March Porsche engine. He is 2 laps down to the leader. Right ahead of him there is Al Unser Jr., who is in 4th as he comes through the chicane. And right ahead of him is John Jones in car number 12, who's running an 8 spot. And should he finish an 8 spot, that would be his best career finish. John Jones, driver of car number 12, the one right ahead of Al Unser Jr. here, as we're inside Al's car in the Valvoline race camp.
You can see Jones slipping a little bit, and you see the shine on his tires. The track must be a little slippery out there. The heat, as far as the sun beating on it, and the car slipping and sliding around. So those shiny tires kind of tell me that the track may be a little slippery for some people.
Al Jr. now hard on the accelerator, now braking and downshifting, going into turn number 7 and 8, then a short chute into turn number 9, and he'll come off of that on the main straightaway. And he will complete lap number 98. The leader, Danny Sullivan, has already completed 98 laps. And now Al Unser Jr. passes under the starter stand, and he completes lap number 98. So we have less than 6 laps to go. The number 7 car of Ari Luyendyk may be experiencing more problems. We will check on that in the Dick Simon pit and have a report for you in just a moment. But if he is having a problem, it isn't affecting his position at the moment because he remains in that second spot, well ahead of third place, Emerson Fittipaldi. Back in a moment to Portland.
It's the beauty and splendor of Europe's oldest thoroughbred racing track. It's an international field of 3-year-olds battling to prove themselves. And it's the people of Ireland who simply have a way of making a horse race magic. It's the Budweiser Irish Derby, Sunday, June 26th. It's the sport of kings and the king of beers, the Budweiser Irish Derby.
Presenting a superbly engineered high-performance machine. One designed to outperform anything the competition has ever introduced, with exceptional starting power, smooth acceleration, and outstanding fuel efficiency. What do we call this masterpiece of engineering? Bosch Platinum, the ultimate spark plug with the advantages of pure platinum. You've never driven anything like it.
Available at Kmart and other fine auto parts stores.
Quaker State with QSX. How do you make a motor oil this good? You test it in the lab. You test it under the hood. You test it on the track.
Quaker State quality. We don't just talk about it, we live by it.
The big Q stands for quality. Always has, always will.
It's the Quaker State Porsche Sweepstakes and Rebate, and everybody wins. Mail in the rebate by August 5th, and you'll have $360 per case in your pocket, and maybe a Porsche in your garage.
Just a little more than 4 more laps to go for Danny Sullivan in the middle of High Life PC-17 Chevy as he brings a car off of corner number 9 and completes lap number 101. 3 more laps to go when he crosses the line. There's Ari Luyendyk, who is running in second position, but there may be more problems with that car. Here's Larry.
Center victory lane.
Well, we're standing by in Dick Simon pit right now, and right now there's a lot of wheels being turned on and heads. We're just going to go to talk to Dick, and we were kind of waved off because they were trying to do some calculations at just that minute. Dick is now joining us. Engine problems now?
Yes, it sounds like we've got a broken spark plug. The same thing that happened in Long Beach. It sounded the same way, but he's going to continue. He's got approximately 29-second lead on third place. Hopefully it'll hold together and he'll end up second.
Like sands through the hourglass. They're going down to the bottom. You just don't know when it's going to end, do you?
You don't know, but we're doing our best.
Okay, Dick.
Indeed, they are doing their best, trying to salvage this afternoon, which has turned sour on them in one way, and that Ari is not going to win this race, apparently. But on the other hand, it's been a very strong performance for Ari Luyendyk. And so Danny Sullivan continues to lead this race, now completing lap number 102. Danny Sullivan, we asked earlier in the weekend about his fondest memory here at Portland International.
I've led most of the races here that I've been in, even starting with Shearson and been up on the front line. I've not finished one, so I don't have that many fond memories during the race, except, of course, really leading them and getting out in the front. But you don't really want to finish here for a change.
And it appears as if he is not only going to finish this race, but could finish in first position. Car moving through the east end of the racetrack right now. Down the back straightaway. This is his 103rd lap. When he comes around, it'll complete lap number 103. Danny Sullivan may have a victory in his grasp here at Portland. Now, his finishes earlier this year at 23rd at Phoenix. He finished 13th at Long Beach, was 23rd at Indianapolis, and was second in the most recent IndyCar race at Milwaukee. There's the white flag. 1 more lap to go for Danny Sullivan. We'll follow him around. He goes through the chicane now for the final time. Everything looking very well, although fuel can run out of that car anywhere on the racetrack at any time.
We'll see here, because he's making a hard right-hander, and now he'll make a left-hander, and if it falters at all, that will tell, because you can slosh the fuel away from the pickup and get a stumble, and the car is running strong, so I don't think he has any problem.
Moving through turns number 5 and 5A, now on to the backstretch for the final time. Danny Sullivan, originally from Louisville, Kentucky. Former winner of the Indianapolis 500-mile race. Now accelerating and braking, rather, and downshifting for turns number 7 and 8. Here he comes through the final corner, number 9.
He can coast.
Danny Sullivan has it wrapped up from here. He stands on the throttle. The fuel is there. The checkered flag comes out, and Danny Sullivan has won the Budweiser G.I. Joe's 200 from Portland International Raceway. There's his happy wife, Chris, who keeps the charts and watches his progress throughout the race. That's not her name, is it?
No.
Okay, what is it?
Julie. That's Julie.
Okay, Julie. And it is her girlfriend, not wife. Sorry about that. Anyway, Luyendyk is going to finish in second position, and there he is. Arie Luyendyk salutes the crowd, and he certainly has turned in a great performance here this afternoon. Danny Sullivan on his cool-down lap, also saluting the corner workers who are congratulating him, and Danny Sullivan has the victory here at Portland. Arie Luyendyk finished 17 seconds behind. There's Roger Penske, who has put together another win, and a portrait look at the winning team and the winning driver, Danny Sullivan, finishing 17 seconds ahead of Arie Luyendyk, finishing 44 seconds ahead of Emerson Fittipaldi, and 51 seconds ahead of Al Unser Jr., who was fourth, the only other car on the lead lap. Unofficially, Mario Andretti finished in 5th position, then Rick Mears, Teo Fabi, John Jones, Scott Brayton, and Didier Tays back with a winner interview right after this.
Something new is in the air at Pizza Hut. Introducing hand-tossed traditional pizza. A pizza that's taking off with a crust that's perfect. Not too thick, not too thin. And reaching new heights with a special blend of mozzarella, cheddar, and Monterey Jack cheeses. New hand-tossed traditional pizza landing in a neighborhood near you. Go ahead. Test flight a bite today.
Pizza Hut, making it great.
You've seen how the advanced full-size Chevy half-ton stands up to Ford. And recently, maybe you've seen Ford's answer. But what you haven't seen is the latest news. Right now, full-size Chevy sales are on a rocket and growing faster than Ford's, which just goes to prove America knows the difference between a hot new truck and a lot of hot air. Make your switch to Chevy now with $500 cash back.
That's today's Chevy truck.
Hold it. Ho, ho, ho. So you're going to finally meet Cindy, huh? Tonight. Good. So first impressions are very important. I think. Okay. Now, imagine. Lights are low, the music's soft. Knock the door opens up. Somebody's out there doing this. What is this? She's got dandruff? No, you have dandruff. No. Yes, you do. I shampoo every day. You can shampoo your brains out with regular shampoo. It wouldn't matter. Brains out? Yeah, well, so use that.
Head and Shoulders?
Works for me, my friend.
But you don't have dandruff.
Exactamundo.
Head and Shoulders, because you never get a second chance to make a first impression.
Last year alone, over 60 major racing championships were won with the Goodyear Racing Eagle, the race-winning technology that helped develop these tires. Can be found in these tires, the Goodyear Eagle Street Radials, the best-selling performance tires in the world. Goodyear Eagles, because there really is a difference.
Danny Sullivan has arrived in victory lane. Gary Lee is there also, and our Winner's Circle interview is being brought to you by Goodyear Eagles, because there really is a difference. And here is Gary Lee.
Danny Sullivan, congratulations. You told me at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway in May that this was one of your favorite racetracks, despite the fact you'd never won here. You've got the victory now.
Well, not only never won, I'd never finished here, so this was particularly sweet. But I tell you what, on a day like today, it goes to the crew, because they won it for me in the pits. I mean, I couldn't catch Arie. I mean, I could stay with him, but I couldn't close on him. And that one pit stop gave it to me, and then we just pulled away after that when I had a clean track in front of me. But that this victory goes to the guys. And I'd also like to give it to my dad and all the dads out there, but particularly my dad for sticking with me all these years.
What happened earlier in the race when you took that off-track excursion and almost lost it?
Well, what happened is I came in there thinking that those guys were paying attention to the blue flag, and I kind of hustled in there, and he stopped a little quicker than one. I pulled out and tried to go on the brakes past him. He wasn't giving it up. I just had to stand on the anchors and lost it. It wasn't, that was just my fault. You know, I got a little aggressive too early in the race.
Been a while since you've been in Victory Lane. A brand new car out of the box in Victory Lane today. Congratulations, Danny.
Well, thank you. It's great to be here. Hello, everybody.
I'm so used to seeing Chris Mears in Victory Lane with her husband, Rick, that I apologize to Julie there. And we know that she helped out also Danny Sullivan's win this afternoon. Well, coming up on July 3rd here on ESPN, a big day of auto racing. We're calling it Race Day America. First of all, we'll start off with a Formula One race in France at 8:30 in the morning. Then at 11:50 in the morning, the IMSA Camel Continental. And later that same afternoon, it'll be the Cleveland Budweiser Grand Prix from Cleveland's Burke Lakefront Airport. That will be live at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So big race day on July the 3rd. Coming up next here on ESPN, Chris Berman and Tim Brando with all the latest on ESPN's Sports Center. Well, the winner once again here this afternoon was Danny Sullivan. And Ari Luyendyk finished in second spot. Emerson Fittipaldi came home with third. Allenzer Jr. was fourth. And Mario Andretti finished in fifth position. Danny Sullivan's first win of 1988. Well, my thanks to Johnny Rutherford for working the booth, and to Larry Nuber, who had a voice continue throughout the event, and, of course, to Gary Lee. Thanks to everybody who helped with the telecast. We'll see you in a couple of weeks during Race Day America, July 3rd, the Budweiser Cleveland Grand Prix from Burke Lakefront Airport in downtown Cleveland, Ohio. Thanks for joining us. Stay tuned for Sports Center. For now, this is Bob Jenkins. So long, everyone.